And we're live.
Ways of the Wolf, the book that nobody was asking us to cover. We're doing it.
Mean.
Doing it. This is the book that nobody was asking us to talk about because this science is 90s wolf science that has been debunked. This book is useless now. There's nothing in this book worth reading. There's no reason to buy this now.
There's every reason to buy it. And that's
We have
to make fun of it.
If you want to look at it back in the 90s and look at what we used to think, along with all the other stuff, like how we thought that babies couldn't feel pain and that the earth was flat and that chemtrails were a thing, you can go and you can buy this book. But besides that, no. All right, we got Edin in here today. KingofGreed might jump in later. Let's see, and we got this. It's gonna show up for this episode because we're only working with what, like 14 pages of Ways of the Wolf, because everything else I'm getting from actual scientific documents. Because Edin, have you noticed that there is a severe lack of lupus players in Werewolf?
Yes, there is.
A massive lack. And I noticed this. Now, in our live plays that we've done, we've always had at least one lupus in our party, because it was Grim in Rage Across New York, it's Autumn Leaves in Appalachia, and it's Soft Paws in Russia. But we're doing a Christmas special during the time we're recording this, and it's a party of all Hamids. Everyone is Hamid, including the Ratkin is Hamid. And it's got me noticing, just whenever I look at live plays too, and how rare the lupus is picked in live plays and D&D stories, and whenever somebody is playing as a lupus, they're not really doing it right. And it's got me realizing, okay, maybe the reason why we don't really have lupus is because nobody really knows what to do with the lupus. And so we're here to fix that. We're going to tell you how to lupus. Take it from me, who's not playing a lupus. But we have Ryan in here. And Ryan was playing as Grim, and he did a fantastic job with Grim.
I hope I did.
Yeah, you did. Because I was in the DMs with you while we were doing that, and I said, you picked lupus.
Yep.
Now, there's a handful of stuff you gotta know if you're gonna pick the lupus. And then we started going down the line, and you were always super practical when it came to Grim. That if it didn't serve an immediate purpose to Grim, he didn't do it. And same thing with when he first met Freya. He didn't really talk about whether or not we weren't talking about paradigms. We're just saying, you got something that I want, let's get it. And that's what it was. But you want to take
To be fair, Grim was also just a very straightforward character.
And that's what it was. You did it right.
Was lupus or Hamid or whatever. That's how I was going to portray him.
Because that's step one with the lupus. Now, when it comes to this kind of stuff, we can go ahead. We can stop this billiard music, get it out of here. All right. Now, the thing with the lupus, we have an entire book dedicated to how to roleplay as the lupus. Now, if I'm right, Edin, there was no W20 version of this book.
Not that I'm aware of.
They made a Metis book, but then they didn't make a lupus book because, once again, nobody really plays the lupus. Nobody really plays the lupus right. So we have this whole section at the start of the book that's saying, why would you play a lupus? It's saying we want to give our players a unique viewpoint that's far away from the nature of being human. We want you to stretch your imagination. We want you to immerse yourself into a role of thinking, well, what an animal thinks. Well, what does an animal think? Ryan, you ever have a dog? You ever have a dog with you?
I've had a couple.
And you ever look at that dog and you think that dog's an idiot?
Always.
Yeah, well, that's exactly it. You get this game really makes you feel like an idiot. Werewolf the Apocalypse.
To be fair, dogs are just retarded wolves.
That's what it is. We passed on the G-line so many times, you're now pissing yourselves when you hear thunder. You can't stop yourself from devouring that toddler either. The poor bastards.
Well, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
I haven't heard anything recently about a dog.
Reject domestication, return to wolf. That's what you gotta do. And this is what the Red Talons are seeing. This is what the Shadow Lords are seeing, that you're all going to become dogs eventually. We're going to have Were-Dog the Apocalypse. And by that point, we'll be in the Crunch Apocalypse, where we might survive the war, but Garou society will regress to a point where we will never recover from it. And everything will just be terrible forever, and then eventually we'll fizzle out in a whimper. Nah, bang. The apocalypse is more boring than we thought it was going to be. Take the black pill, am I right? Yep.
Yeah, well,
If you take the white pill, you're also taking the Weaver pill because the Glasswalkers might save the Garu.
It's that omega-3 fish pill that doesn't really do anything for you.
I remember being forced to take those.
You see, forced to take pills.
Omega-3 pills, specifically.
Yes. They gave me pills after surgery because I was constipated.
They're like, this will give you brain power. And I was like, okay.
Let's see. You want to be smart, Grim? You want to be a smart wolf?
Eat fish.
Let's go where everything begins. Before we get into wolf science itself, let's talk about the first change with lupus. And this is what's interesting to me with the lupus. Now, when you look at Black Fury's second edition, there's pre-made characters when you go down the line and you start looking at all the pre-made characters. And there's one that's the Omega female. And the Omega is not a thing in wolf science, in wolf nature. It's not a thing, but go with the story for a minute. Where it's a wolf that is picked on, spat on by the pack alpha of, the alpha wolf is at least a thing. And eventually, the wolf thinks out of nowhere one day, this is wrong. I hate what you're doing to me. This isn't right. This isn't just. I don't like you. I feel a grudge against you. And now I'm going to come after you and I'm going to kill you. And then the first change happens. She shifts into Kraus form, tears the alpha to pieces, and then immediately afterwards feels remorse for her actions. That, why did I do this? I tore you to pieces. I wanted you to die, but I didn't want you to die like this. You didn't deserve this death. You're just a wolf. And then runs off from shame and hides until she's discovered by a kinfetch. And a wolf wouldn't do that. Because would you necessarily say a wolf would have a moral center? Would you necessarily say that?
No.
Or even a dog has a moral center, or a cat does, where
personally don't think so. I think it's all instinct for them.
I don't think it is either, because I thoroughly believe that humanity, we are the only creatures on the planet that have the concept of good and evil understood. That's all that we have. And that's what separates us from the average animal, and what led to us becoming a civilization. And you look at a dog and you say, oh, you're such a good boy, you're such a good boy. Well, did the dog choose to be good? Or did the dog do this because you're showing approval and affection for it when it does that thing? And it wants the affection. That's what I gotta ask. You want to say that your dog is this angel, but I think it's more like the dog is responding to your behavior and wants your affection because that's what the dog wants from your relationship. Is ultimately what it wants. Because after all, when it comes to training dogs, being super affectionate towards your dog does more for your relationship in training the dog than being a hard ass with it and trying to have this alpha relationship with your dog. When it comes to, say, breeding and training pets and service animals. But why I think the first change is super interesting with the lupus is that, like I said with morality, you're essentially giving a wild animal the fruit from the tree of knowledge through proxy. The wolf never ate from the tree, but still gets the concept of good and evil, understands shame, understands what passion is, understands hatred, and understands sorrow. And you've got emotions now as a lupus that you've never had before, and you don't know how to sort it out. That's they won't talk about the horror when it comes to Werewolf the Apocalypse's first change, that when you're a Hamid, it's this sudden eruption of rage that you don't know how to control. Something puberty analogy. But with the lupus, it's you learning about good and evil, and that bothers you because you used to be an animal that didn't care about that. Now you do, and you don't know why. And that's what gets me with the lupus. That whole differentiation between good and evil. You no longer think like a wolf. You think like a wolf and a person. You still have the base instincts. You still think and practicalities. If it serves a practical purpose, you'll do it. If it's abstract, if it requires too much thought, you won't do it. You're very straightforward, and you're slow to take up new concepts. But that new moral center, and that's more likely going to be your arc as a lupus, because just about every chronicle you play of Werewolf, you're starting off at rank 1. You're a Goliath. Your first change was very recent. You're still coming to grasp with these new emotions. And that's what I think is going to be what drives you as a lupus player throughout your Chronicle of Werewolf the Apocalypse. I don't know, is what I'm saying making sense to you, Ryan?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Because you remember when we did Grimm, his whole character arc was the big bad wolf learns to become human.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Edin, you got any thoughts on that?
No, I don't.
All right. Okay, took a drink of that story. I feel a little bit better after that. A little long-winded. And that's where I think your story starts. And then after you're discovered by the Kinfetch, you're brought into a society that you don't really understand. Because wolf society, we can now talk about how that works in nature. Now, a wolf pack, the pack, you might as well have that be a synonym for family. When it comes to wolves, you have a family of wolves. You have the mama wolf, you have the dad wolf, and you have around 5 to 15 members per wolf pack, depending on how many kids you have, or how many wolves you've adopted into the pack. They're now, it's usually like a male wolf looking for one of the daughters to start a new pack with. But they're going around. It's the alpha wolf. Which is the biggest, strongest wolf in that pack, and then the female, who's the biggest, bestest woman in the pack. And the two of them mate, and then start having a family, have the kids, and then everyone else in the pack is more interested in raising the kids and feeding the kids when it comes to a wolf pack. Where, if you're not the alpha wolf in the pack, your main responsibility is hunting, guarding, letting other animals know where your territory lies. You feed the kids, you help the kids, and then eventually you leave on your own to go find another wolf and then start your own family, and then you become the alpha of that pack because you started. And that's essentially it. Come to the Garu Nation. The Garu Nation is based off of crappy wolf science that's been debunked, and the guy who started it. What was the dude's name again, Edin? What was his name?
I honestly can't recall.
David Mech is what it was. And this was the guy that started the whole alpha, beta, omega kind of thing. And that only happens with wolves in captivity. In captivity, a wolf will do that, but only because you brought in all these wolves that were strangers to each other, that had no familiar bonds, and this is what they did, and you get that social structure with dogs. But with the wolves, you just assume that this is how every wolf acted, and then wrote that in and just had that be the science. And then for the rest of your scientific career, after you realized that's not how that works, you spent the rest of your scientific career debunking yourself and trying to tell people, stop buying my book, all this stuff in it is wrong. But if you take that wolf science and you say it's the Garu Nation that does that, not wolves who do it, then I think that's acceptable. That the concept of the alpha, the beta, and the omega is a Garu Nation invention, that's fine with me. That gels with me. Do you think so, Edin?
Yeah, pretty much.
Where you've got an alpha, and then you've got all his subordinates, and then you got the low-ranking untouchables like the Bone Gnawers, or some Stargazers, or Glasswalkers, depending on what the environment is. And you're brought into this, and for the Lupus, it was just the big wolf leads, and that's it. And now we've got military ranks. Now we've got drills. Now we've got gifts I'm talking to. Now I'm having to talk to a spirit. I had no concept as what a spirit was. And with the Lupus, that's what's... You're going to have scenes where you encounter a concept you don't really understand. Take a street, for example. You've got a long black rock that just runs through your forest. You step on it, it's hot. It goes off in that direction. It goes off in this direction. It vanishes across the horizon. It looks like one solid piece. And then there's two yellow lines on it. And then these big things that are shiny and they're red or white or black and have glass on it just move across them at very high speeds. I know the basic concept of a street, but I don't really understand the street. I don't really understand that this will take me from point A to point B on a path that's, for the most part, safe. Or a car, where a Lupus is going to see a car. You can get in the car, you can see that there's seats, you can see that there's carpets inside. You turn something in it, and then it starts making noise, and then when it makes noise, it goes fast until it stops going fast, and then somebody has to pour something into it. You can observe this kind of stuff, but put a Lupus behind the wheel, and they're going to have no idea what they're doing. They didn't grow up around cars. They didn't see cartoons of people driving cars. They didn't see their parents driving cars. You have no idea what you're looking at when it comes to this. It's Edin, you're familiar with Terry A. Davis, the guy that made Temple OS?
Unfortunately, I am not.
He was a schizophrenic racist who made his own operating system, and he live streamed his entire life, and he had this one rant where he's going, one day I was just working on my computer and my bird Percival was sitting and staring at my monitor, and I thought to myself, whoa, that bird has no idea what he's looking at. And does he worry about that? No, the bird doesn't worry. The wolf doesn't worry. You're able to know what's safe, what isn't safe, what's food, what isn't food, what will keep you alive, what day is, what night is, who your relatives are. You know that kind of stuff. But then that's it. You don't really understand any sort of complexities. If somebody comes up to you and you're a lupus and you start reading Bible passages, you're going to be confused. If somebody shows you a screen, you're going to be confused. If somebody asks you to drive a car, you're going to be confused. If somebody pays for something with money, you're going to be confused because you just don't know what these concepts are. You can observe the material, you know the practical, you know the moment to moment, the present, but you don't really know why you're doing this or what it can get you in the future or why this was invented to begin with. It's the simple stuff that you live off of with the lupus. And do you worry about that? No, you don't really worry about this. You're living just fine without it. You can probably live the rest of your life not knowing about this. You're not in a rush to learn. You don't really have a need or a drive to understand based on what you're doing with that character. You just exist, you keep yourself alive, you keep your family alive, and that's all you're really concerned about. And your training with the Garo Nation is why you would eventually care about stuff like the Litany. When that stuff is pounded into your skull by the Alpha Getafenris or Silverfang or Shadow Lord, and they make sure that you understand this concept because we got an apocalypse to fight, we got to stop the worm from taking over. Then you start getting introduced to these concepts, and then you're taught to worry. Then you're taught that the world is going to end, and that you need to talk to these spirits. You've never met a spirit before. You never had a concept of a spirit. Wolves don't have religion. Wolves don't pray to spirits. But now you're introduced to this entire spirit world that you didn't know existed. And you didn't have a myth that told you about its existence. And you're told about reincarnation when you thought if you died, that was it. Or heaven and hell is a thing, and you thought death was it. No, you're getting all these new concepts now. And all of a sudden, the world is getting really big, really quickly. How do you deal with that? And that's the questions you got to ask yourself with the lupus. Because after all, you're in a way, you're playing a Pinocchio story whenever you do a lupus. It's, I'm a wolf that's learning how to be a real boy, but do I want to be a real boy? Do I really care about this kind of stuff? Or is it when this chronicle is over, I'm just going to go back to what I was doing before, but with a weight on my shoulders now knowing what I know is what your inner conflict with the lupus is going to be. Because Edin, during character creation, there's just a few skills that you just can't take with the lupus during character creation.
Right.
Where driving isn't a thing, craft isn't a thing, academics, computers, that's not a thing with the lupus.
Yep.
And same thing too, where if you're looking at this from a power gamer's perspective and you don't want to interact with these concepts, probably don't make this your first character like Ryan did. But Ryan managed to hit out of the park just fine. Yeah. Because you were going in for it with like a big, strong man kind of mentality.
Yeah.
And you were doing that. You played Grim. You did it great. I was giving you tips and tricks. You did just fine. Because I remember with Grim during our introduction scene that you have the Fianna there doing this big rallying cry and speech and saying, we got the Bonars with us, we got this, we're going to come in, and Danu is giving us her blessing, and we're going to go in, and you just have your arms crossed, you're just waiting for the fight to start.
Yeah.
Because you're thinking, this just doesn't pertain to me, this doesn't interest me, there's no reason for me to really get attached to this. Yeah, just when is the fight going to start? Just the practical moment-to-moment kind of stuff. And you've heard the expression, I'm going to wolf something down.
Yeah.
You've heard that at least some point in your life.
Oh, yeah.
And it's because wolves don't save their food. When you get a kill, you eat all of it, you eat everything you can immediately, and then if you don't eat it, you don't eat it. You don't really go back to that kill. And
That's actually technically not true. They'll oftentimes carry off portions of meat and bury it.
right, that's good. But
Like
you just
squirrels.
eat, but you don't. Well, a wolf doesn't just eat his fill and then put it off to the side. A wolf eats until he can't eat no more and then puts it off to the side.
And that is 20 pounds in a single sitting every 5 hours.
There we go. And you're not a lupus is going to think, well, maybe I could save this off for the winter. Maybe I could salt my meat and I can just put that in the ground and then save that for later. Or maybe I like spread out my kills and start corralling deer into this area. You're not thinking of concepts like complex stuff like that. You're thinking, when am I hungry? When's my next kill? And then I go after it. That's your thought with lupus. That's it. Your basic animal moment to moment kind of stuff. Because to you, you're in the wild, you're hunting. You don't have a guaranteed tomorrow. It's nature. You're not guaranteed to see the sunrise the next day. So you just gotta do what you can moment to moment and hope that you see
the expression "dog eat dog" world.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
And
Survival of the fittest.
They are smart enough to actually surplus kill when they get the opportunity, where they'll take down multiple animals in rapid succession. That way they don't have to chase them down later, because they might not actually find them.
The only time I can think that they're going to do that is during the winter.
Yeah. But when you have the sense that there's going to be a famine coming up soon. Let's see, along with that.
Then again, I 100% don't know anything about wolves.
See, I got some stuff pulled up in front of me.
The most experience with wolves I have is that one game that used to be on the school computers where you could play as a wolf.
Here. I think I know what you're talking about.
Wolf Quest?
I think that was it, yeah.
It was like on Newgrounds.com or something?
No, it was an actual program on the computers at our school.
Huh.
Pretty sure it's shareware/freeware still.
Is it?
It might be. I'll check on that. I don't have any software that can run it, but when it comes to hunting, Ways of the Wolf goes into this whole thing, and the Red Towns talk about too. They say there's a system with hunting where you scout for the food, you look around for it, you know where it is. Okay, there it is. We gotta stalk it. And you get the pack together, start stalking the food. You stay downwind to avoid the smell. Your smell passing on to prey, and then when that prey notices you, you make eye contact with it, and then the prey freezes. You stare at it. You make your presence known, and then when the prey starts to run, you chase after it. Now the game begins proper. You start chasing after it, and while one wolf chases it, the other wolves will corner the prey and then surround it. What you do not want to do at any point during this chase is show your back to a wolf, because once your back is to it, then they attack you and they go for the throat when they do that. And then once you're bitten in the throat, usually it's just the one bite and then you're down. That's it. You bleed out, you choke out, then you're down on the ground, and then you're eaten. And that's how it works.
Technically, that's only for smaller prey. They go for the throat. For larger ones like elk and deer, they actually just kill you from exsanguination. The entire pack surrounds you, and if you break out, they start taking bites out of you, so you bleed to death as you run.
They start biting the legs, they start biting the side, and then you just start running until eventually you just can't run no more. Then you drop dead, and then they just tear you to pieces after that.
They don't even wait for you to be dead in some cases. They just start tearing into you because they want to make sure you die.
Oh yeah, same thing with the African wild dogs, and just that's just a nasty way to go if the African wild dogs get their hands on you, because same thing. They don't even wait for you to be dead. They just start pulling you to pieces like a pizza while you're still alive. It's nasty looking at live feedings of that. And how does this work? The adults will eat first. The adult wolf will always eat first. It says that the alpha will always get the share of the kill first. Not necessarily just the alpha, more like just every adult wolf will start eating, and then what's left behind they give to the kids.
Technically, if the kids are young enough, the alpha male will actually devour enough meat and then vomit it up after it's been softened by stomach acid for the pups.
Yeah, here you go, child. Here's my regurgitated blood and meat. Enjoy. And Yeah, yeah. I always remember the meals my mom would make me as a lupus.
Yeah, that regurgitation instinct is actually triggered by the pups licking the lips of the male.
Yes. And same thing too with the communication, because how do wolves really communicate? You have the howls, you have the barks, you have the yips, you have the roars. This is mainly to the prey and other predator animals saying, "Stay out of my territory. This is my territory. This is my presence. Don't come around here." Or they'll signal another wolf saying, "We found prey. Now's the time to start hunting." Is usually what those howls are. But wolf to wolf kind of communication, most of the wolves, they're like with almost like with humans, how majority of our language is body language. That's the same thing with the wolves. You ever notice just how almost cartoonish some of the facial expressions on wolves can get?
Well, their body language is literally almost identical to humans.
Because there's a few faces that wolves will make. There's like take the snarl where they have the really long mouths, and how they like tighten in the corners of their mouths and then show their teeth and bug out their eyes, and that's how you know a wolf is pissed off at you.
They also expose their gums too. Like they lift their lips up so much you actually can see where their gums connect to the top of their mouth.
Yeah, because there's a whole bunch of stuff where if a wolf is pissed at you, you know that a wolf is pissed at you. uh what was that one video? I don't think I posted it in the server, but it was this guy who had the bright idea of, I don't know, sticking a camera in a wolf's den while her puppies were there. And
That it
yeah,
lunged at him.
yeah, it lunged down after, like, I don't know, snarling at him, scrinkling the nose, scowling at him. Oh, look at that toothy smile. Oh, she wants to snuggle with me. No, that's not what she wants.
Yep.
And how do wolves say hello to each other? Kissing.
Licking some
Yeah,
nips to get
yeah,
attention.
yeah. You just go over, just put your lips to his lips, and just stick his tongue in your mouth. Just go ahead.
I don't know. It's exactly like that.
Yeah, not at all. They're known as the gay of Fenris for a reason. Right?
Oh well, I don't know about that.
The same thing too with that, like recording too, where say like you have a lupus that walks up to a Hamid, and they can be in lupus form, Hamid form, or crass form, and you just go over to this lupus and you just like put your lips on their lips and then stick your tongue into their mouth, and how much it's going to throw a Hamid or just a human through a loop with a lupus doing that. And lupus doesn't see anything wrong with that, just saying, "What? That's how we say hello in my culture. I don't get why you just wave your hand. I mean, this is how we do it. What's wrong with the way I'm doing it?" These
Uh,
the human misunderstanding you can get with the lupus.
Pretty sure they don't French kiss though. I think
Yeah,
it's just
Yeah,
licking the lips
yeah,
or
they lick the
face.
lips. Yeah,
it's
your
not.
tongue doesn't necessarily need to wrap around the kisser's tongue for it to be a French. And let's see here, how exactly do wolves do mating?
Once a year,
Let's
late
see,
winter
let's see,
or early
and
spring.
because after all, it's mating season, right?
Yep, there's a the winter wolf is named the winter wolf for a reason. They're super
Yeah,
aggressive and
yeah,
really protective of their mates
yeah.
during that
You,
time.
you have winter wolf syndrome where a wolf will get super aggressive during mating season because they're saying, "I want to have sex. I want to have as much sex as possible with this wolf. Don't get in the way of me and my path to have sex." Like going outside and you notice that all the bird calls you hear are just birds that are horny looking for sex. And that's it. And do wolves mate for life?
Yes, monogamously,
Yes. Where once you got a mate, that's it. You don't look for any other mate.
unless it
So
dies.
yeah, so at least that part of wolf science stayed consistent. And usually how this works is that with courtship, you start nuzzling, you play with them, you lick the fur. Um, the male will follow around the female. Of course, like with a lot of animals, it's the male that will pursue the female when it comes to dating. Um, much to the jargon of any Black Fury lupus. And yeah, once again, it's once a year. The heat period will last around 5 to 14 days, and then after that, you mate, and it's usually last around like 10 to 30 minutes, and then that's it. Um, Same thing with the wolf too, where the whole part of the litany. A Geru should not mate with another Geru. If sex comes up in your games, a lupus isn't going to be a pervert. A lupus doesn't mate for the sake of mating. Um, Mating is for reproductive purposes only, and it's only going to happen the one time. So after you're done, you just go off to the side, and then that's it. Well, with Grim, we combined the whole alpha structure with the Geru Nation kind of perspective, because you by that point you've been in the Geru Nation for a while. You had been around, say, Reynard, who was mentoring you the entire time.
Yeah.
And same thing with like the envy for Tyler Bassett, where Tyler Bassett's getting more than Grim is. Well, that's a problem when you combine that with the alpha structure, where um, when it comes to a lot of animals, sex is a sign of dominance when it comes to a lot of animals. So when sex does come up in your game, if you have a lupus menace or Hamid that's getting a lot in the Euro Nation, they tend to be the most powerful of the wolves too. Those tend to be your Alrunes, your Philodoxes, your leaders in the Euro Nation.
Uh,
Never,
some
never.
important information.
Uh-huh.
Male wolves will oftentimes travel several hundred miles to look for a mate. In some extreme cases, 200 to 300 isn't unheard of, and it's
Yes.
fairly common. Uh, Actual lupus characters, if they're female, the main books say they ovulate once per month like a human,
Yes.
and that can actually be really bad because their pups can be born during the winter when they have the lowest odds of survival.
Yeah. You might want to hope that you can find a Bonar or a Chata guy to adopt them in that case.
Yep.
Because once you enter a lupus state, your biology takes on more human traits than wolf traits when you first change. Because after all, with the Hamids, your life expectancy doesn't suddenly drop once you first change. No, it's the human gene that seems to override it. Where this is gives credence to my theory that Gaia wanted humanity to intermingle with her changing breeds. That the Imperium wasn't supposed to happen. You were supposed to integrate with human society, not wish for its destruction. And go along with it. With aging, there is an entire section in this book talking about aging where, say, the lupus's lifespans back when they were first created were supposed to be around 8 to 16 years, and then you died. But now that you first changed, your life expectancy is now 60 to 70 years if you don't die in battle first, with the possibility of living it to be 120. So I guess the human genes really do override the wolf genes in that regard. You still think like a man, you still think like a wolf, but you now are having human traits. Because after all, if you're a lupus werewolf that sticks with the pack, you're going to think it's weird that why are all my packs dying, and then I'm still the same. That I'm still living while I've gone. This is my fifth family that I'm on, and I don't get what the difference is here.
It's actually a really sad story thread just watching all your relatives die and wither away while you still persevere.
And when you're finally discovered as a lupus werewolf, you're in your human years in your 80s by that point.
Yep.
just because that's what I mean, like with the personal horror of a lupus, just how alien your first change is going to be and how it's going to throw off your entire life. And
Oof, I remember in some of the other books it mentioned that lupus have to be taught to walk on two legs in Hobbit form.
oh yeah, you because learning to walk again after you first change, and say the first change happens with a wolf when they're 2 years old. So that's around, if you're going to do that dog years equation, around 14 in human years. Now, when a lupus shifts into Hamid form when they're 2 years old, do they look like a 2-year-old child?
No, they look like a teenager.
Exactly that. Where it's like the dog years were going into effect up until you first changed. Then when you shift into Hamid form after that, you start appearing in Hamid form by human years. It's not like, say, if the dog you're stuck, you're a 30-year-old lupus, and then you shift to the Hamid form, and then you look like a Nosferatu when you first shift. That,
Honestly, I think the other books did a more simplistic take, and it's just treat it as if whatever age you first changed at was just your puberty equivalent for whatever form you're taking.
Right. And that made sense for a while. And let's see what else in this book is worth talking about. Now, Blaze of the Wolf has this huge section dedicated to the Red Talons. Because I don't know, do we have Hamid Red Talons? Do
None.
we?
Well,
No.
technically they do. They're just killed as soon as they find out about them.
Yeah. And then the parent is killed as well.
Yep.
You made a massive fucking mistake doing that. And with the Red Talons, it's saying that the Red Talons as a tribe basically consider all Lupus Geru to be their not all Lupus kinfolk to be theirs. It's dead to rights theirs. The Red Talons, it doesn't matter who you are. If it's a wolf in nature, it's theirs. That's what they get. And the Red Talons want to say that they're all wolf, but yet their social structure reflects the Geru Nation. And it's what I mean by the Red Talons are full of shit, because wolves don't really do this in nature, and yet you're following a structure that was made by people that were half human, half wolf. You know, one hand isn't washing the other one here. But as we know, statistically, 13% of all Geru, or 10% of them, are modern knights. Those Geru are lupus. And how much of that percentage do you think is Red Talons?
20-30%.
45.
I'm going to say somewhere around that ballpark that you listed. It's like anywhere between 20 to 40% of all lupus are Red Talons. And what's the thing with Red Talons? What they're like? Impergium. That if a human enters their society, it's dead. They're going to have no intermingling with humans. If a menace is made, they're fine with it. They don't really care about the menace. They don't really see that, like, Geru shot mate with other Geru as that big of a deal. Because after all, the Red Talons love combat. They love going to fighting. They love blood. They want blood. But if the menace can carry themselves, if their deformity doesn't get in the way of the hunt, if they can keep up with the rest of the pack, it's fine. But besides that, a Red Talon will occasionally just leave their cairn, go off, find a pack, just intermingle with the pack, slide right into the family, and then seemingly take it over, and then make kinfolk off of the wolves in that pack. And then those wolves would become their grandchildren and their great grandchildren. And as far as the Red Talons are concerned, those wolves are their property. So when a Fianna comes in and decides that he wants to make a child a Dire, the Red Talons raise a big stink about it, because that's technically their great grandkid that you just mated with. And that's why the Geru family trees tend to look like circles sometimes. Don't think about it too hard now.
Oh, I'm just thinking about how Hamid makes with the Garu. That Garu then has a human child. That human child mates with another kinfolk. Then they have a Garu child. That Garu mates with a wolf, so on, so on. And then eventually one of those lupus mates with a human.
Is you have the unfortunate implication where if you have a lupus werewolf and a human kinfolk, then essentially you've got this bestiality kind of thing going on where it's a wolf coming onto a human. And if you have a Hamid werewolf and a lupus kinfolk, then it's a little bit more depraved in that way. So there's no real way to go about that without it coming off as sexually weird when you look at it. It's just one of the unfortunate implications of Werewolf the Apocalypse as a story. And is that problematic? I don't really think it is. Is it bizarre? I'm going to say it's bizarre.
As a story, how you can try working around that by having the mentality of the Garu literally devolve into a wolf mentality if they're in lupus form, but they
Yes.
have the physical intelligence of a human
Yeah.
per se.
Yeah. It's that weird, like, furry problem that you would get where if you had, say, you remember that BoJack Horseman was a show, and people were okay with Diane and Mr. Peanut Butter being a couple up until they had sex in season 4, and then everyone immediately turned off the idea after seeing a human woman with her lips on a male dog, and just how fucking weird that was. And I feel like this is kind of, I feel like this is going to be like your furry litmus test at your tables. As for if that comes up in a chronicle, if you have a lupus or a Hamid and you intermingle, um, I feel like players are furries are more open to the idea than players who aren't. So it's a little fun test at your table.
To be fair, the meta plot specifically states if you don't mix, eventually you'll be too far human or too far lupus and lose the wolf eventually. The
Yeah.
changing seed, I mean.
Yeah. And because that blood is dilating, you're starting to run out of werewolves every day.
Or you're
There
drafting
is.
too much to
Uh,
one side or the other of
uh,
either
uh,
human or lupus.
all right, there he is. All right, hello, KingofGreed. You're finally in the call.
Yeah, sorry. I normally sleep in the morning, so
All right,
I'm
there
back.
we go. So you take a little snooze. All right, and now he's here. We're currently talking about the Red Talons
Ooh, my favorite.
and just how hypocritical the Red Talons are because you're more werewolf than you are straight wolf, even though you deny the human part of yourself.
To
And what?
I was about to say to understand that you had to understand red talons more, but we already talked about red talons, so I'm
Yeah,
just
yeah,
going.
we just talked about the Red Talons too. And for the Red Talons, they hate the human part of themselves too because to them, humans killed all their friends. You had griffins, you had Sasquatch, you had all these other cryptids, and the humans killed them. And the Red Talons will never forgive them for that. So they deny that human part of themselves, which is why they only ever mate with wolves. And that's where you come into play with your Red Talons. Because if you're a Red Talon, you are vehemently denying the human part of yourself. And that's what kind of gets me with that character development with Autumn Leaves in our Appalachia game, because you know how much he sticks in the road with the litany, that the litany, the litany, the litany. But at the same time, him as a Red Talon, he has to confront his idea of, I still have human thoughts, I have human brains. The only reason why I get this angry is because I have human emotions. Do I accept that part of myself or do I deny it? And same thing with Soft Paws in our Russia game, because Soft Paws is led to believe that humans are the devil and deserve their deaths, while at the same time working with Hamagiru. You know, you eventually have to ask yourself these questions with the Red Talons. People ask me why I love the Red Talons, why I say the Red Talons are my favorite tribe. It's because you are confronted with those questions when you have a Red Talon in your pack. And it makes your game so much more complex because I think when you have player character and player character drama, that is when you get the serious character development in your games, and that's when you tend to make some of your best player characters, period. Because I think what also made Grimm's a soar as a character was his interactions with Tyler Bassett in our Appalachia in our New York game.
It was like a big brother, little brother type of relationship. I think.
Tyler Bassett's an idiot, but he's our idiot. Was the relationship
exactly?
And same thing with the Red Talons. You have them in two different factions now, where you can put the Lodge of the Predator Kings in their own category, where you have the Predator Kings that say all humans need to die, and then you have the Warders of the Land and the Wolf's Compromise, where they're the same philosophy, but the Warders refuse to collaborate with those who they consider to be whelps, where they don't think that humans need to die in mass. If a human comes in their territory, it dies, but they're not going to go out of their way to purge the world of humanity. They're just going to stick with themselves and their families, and then that's all they're really concerned about. I also feel like that's a detail about the Red Talons that gets glossed over, because the Red Talons, they love each other. Pack to pack, Garu to Garu, within the Red Talons, they love each other. It's everyone else that they hate.
I
It's
like
very much
how
so.
What?
Sorry.
And you're saying?
I like how Waits with the Wolf actually has a section about human hunters,
Yeah.
and how even the Red Talons will begrudgingly leave some of them alone if they're more of the primal types that hunt with a spear or a bow.
Mm-hmm. Is the minute you pick up a gun, that's a dirty tactic. After all, we talked about the hunting ritual, quote unquote. There's a way you do this. You don't just make eye contact with the animal and then shoot it. Because where's the sport in that? Look at me, I'm so talented. I just shot a guy, and now he's dead. Cool. Uh, Meanwhile, I chased him down and I had him bleed to death as he was running away from me, and then I caught him after a 20-minute long chase. So, who's the more talented hunter here, humans?
The guy that's willing to actually chase it down.
Yeah, because that's the whole thing. There's that superiority complex you get with the Red Talons too. This book is almost like Red Talons Tri-Book Part 2 with Ways of the Wolf. Because because you begin to learn a little bit more about the Red Talons. When we did the Red Talons episode of what was it, last year, I think? Yeah, I was still working at the hardware store last year. A lot of the information I said in that video came from Ways of the Wolf because of just how in detail they got with the Red Talons as a culture, so to speak. Wolf culture.
Well, do we understand wolf culture? Because I'm late, I may reiterate as someone said, but to understand the ways of the wolf, in my personal opinion,
yeah,
is to understand the ways like an animal. Now, people may think all animals are dumb. They are in a sentient way, but they're not. But they're not clever.
mm-hmm.
They're
Because
not
an animal understands what's safe and will understand. I don't know. I just walked in front of that thing and it ran into me. Maybe I shouldn't do that again. Or this thing I just ate was really spicy and it hurt. Maybe I shouldn't eat that again. That kind of life lessons, but they're not master tacticians or anything like that.
No, they're not. Well, when it comes to hunting, that's different. But yeah, that's basically what it is. The animal is you are born with a set of skills. You know what you have to do and what you know you shouldn't do, and that's your worldview. You know, get food now, have warm food, have dry den, and that's all you need in life. You don't need any more. Sure, you can have kids, but you don't need anything else. Now all of a sudden you can think like a human. And when you act like a human and you look at your wolf life, everything seems overly too much. You don't need all this. Hell, it screams Weaver and the Worm to you. Acting like a human.
You're a wild and a Gaia purist when you play as a Red Talon. And you might be asking, well, when would I, as a Lupus character, ever interact with society? If a Kintfetch never finds my character, how do I really get involved? Well, eventually you're going to come across a human. We live in the Anthropocene era. Ever since the 1950s, humanity has dominated the planet. You're going to come across human civilization at some point. You're going to see, I don't know, people camping, and then you want to eat their Twinkies because you smell food. You smell something sweet. Or you see a hunter and you escape it. Or it's a dead hunter and try to figure out, well, where did this creature come from? Or you see a car that goes down the street, you eventually follow it to a parking lot, people get out of that car, you're going to come across humans at some point. There's a whole section here about why would a Red Talon ever go into a city? And there's two reasons. Usually it's a Red Talon that's hunting down a human offender. This can be for a variety of reasons. The Red Talons just really hate people. They'll chase them down, they'll kill the person, dust their hands of it, that's it, you're out of the city. Or sometimes a Red Talon begins to realize that they're going to population bomb and will mate with a human. And then if that's ever discovered, we'd already said, that Red Talon will be killed and their offspring will be killed. But you do have Red Talon hominids, but it's less than 1% of all Red Talons are that. Like there's we'll say there's 500 Red Talons in existence. 2 of them will be hominid.
I want to bring something up real quick. You brought up Whelp's compromise, not killing humans.
Yes.
I remember they have a gift for making a human into a wolf permanently.
Yeah.
If you're a Garu that gets targeted, you just get locked in Lupus for a while. What to stop a Whelp's compromise from having a crush on a human and just turning them into a wolf? And then having that whole dilemma where how it's weird how a human mind is mating with a wolf.
Yeah.
Well, one simple question, Edin, in that fucking answer. A Red Talon has to love a human to begin with.
Yes.
The Wolf Compromise wants to teach humanity. They never said they didn't love humanity.
Yeah. There it is. You get you have the whole plot line where Lupus discovers a Playboy magazine while in mating season and winter wolfing, and then gets an idea.
Yeah, basically, people may forget this one. Well, compromise, they're like the teacher that's actually willing to heal you. No, does not mean they won't throw you to a fucking window.
So there we go. That's your
and
plot point. And 2, what's the other one? I didn't just make a train of thought, did I?
Yeah, sort of, but it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
And also too, if it theoretically did happen, the wolf, it would, because of how the wolves work. The more wormish this seems to you, the less likely they'll ever do it. Period. Because all you can say about the red talons and all their problems, they 90% of the time stand on their morals. To 99% of the time, they stand on their morals.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
there's that too.
Yeah. There is one other reason why a red talon specifically would go into a city. That is hunting a vampire. You'll occasionally get the city gangrel that will go in and drain an animal. And even though that the gangrel have this mutual understanding with the urination, the red talons don't. They don't let the gangrel. They want the gangrel to die. It's more human than animal. It's a human pretending to be an animal. It's a mockery. Kill it. Or you'll get a Bruja that's desperate for blood, uses celerity, runs off into the woods, chases down a deer on foot, tackles it down to the ground, and drains it. Or I don't know, a Malkavian who is like caught from the jungle book and he dements a deer into walking into his fangs. And then you have cases like that. Then a red talon will hunt after that wolf. No, a red talon will hunt after that vampire, kill it, and then well, usually it turns into dust, given how old vampires are. But they'll make an example of that werewolf, of that vampire when they chase them down. Because after all, red talons hate vampires. Just any and all vampires, that vampire dies. And there's also a section of, if you want me to reiterate, red talons' relationships with every other tribe. They hate Bonars, they hate Glasswalkers, they hate the Children of Gaia. They hate the Silver Fangs, but they love the Silver Fangs because the Silver Fangs vouched for them back in the days during the Imperium, and we just need that Silver Fang to stamp the Imperium bill and get the Imperium starting up again. They want to like the Silver Fangs, but the Silver Fangs are just so full of shit that they just can't really bring themselves to do it. And the Shadow Lords are just suspicious, and nobody really trusts the Shadow Lords because, I don't know, you call yourself the Shadow Lords. What impression do you think I'm going to get of you?
To give one last comment about red talons before we get on to the wolf in nature.
Yeah.
Red talons can get skills like academics and technology. You just can't get it at character creation because you very much can justify it saying like, can I get a dot of technology to know what a phone is and a laptop is?
Yeah, you can have a lupus who was like walking around and saw what was like a kindergarten class and like get on his hind legs, look through the window and then look at kids learning their ABCs. And all of a sudden that wolf learns how to spell and gets academics. you can have that in the Chronicle.
Yeah.
And whenever you take those skills with a lupus, you have to explain why you're putting a point in that, and try to roleplay that out with the storyteller. Do a slow burn if you're getting that skill. Just don't have it be, oh, my lupus wolf can read now. Well, how do your lupus learn to read? When did he get the time to do that during the Chronicle?
Good point.
It's the same thing with your disciplines in Vampire the Masquerade. You don't level up your discipline and automatically learn how to use that. Another vampire has to show you how you do that. Or you have to come to the conclusion through roleplay that you can do that. You turn on your electric shaver to the microphone. That's what it sounds like whenever that buzzes.
That is my phone alarm.
See, there it is. It's very alarming.
Honestly, as a potential storyteller, I think the easiest time you would have justifying having those dots on a lupus character is if they're a glasswalker.
Yeah, because you do have the rare glasswalker lupus. Occasionally, a glasswalker will lose his mind and go off into the woods and find a wolf, mate with the wolf, and then have a lupus guru.
Well, they have their own lupus stock in zoos and as pets, so it's actually not that hard.
What the fuck are you doing mating with your inventory?
Would you please stop with the
you fucked your product. That's what you did with the glasswalkers.
Yeah, the Edins, hold on, my bad. The glasswalkers, even the glasswalkers will not take wolves as pets. I think you misunderstand the term pet.
No, that's that shit in the second edition.
Yeah, they actually give their lupus Garroot as to kinfolk as pets at times.
That's in Glasswalker's second edition.
That is very much so Glasswalker's edition.
Yeah, and there it is. In the original text, which is what I hold above my head, that I don't think that's in the book, but there's nothing really stopping a storyteller from doing that.
That's very fair. That's true.
Yeah, and with the Glasswalkers, you have you have what
you have them way
like,
too human.
Like there's like what 5% of all Glasswalkers are lupus.
I would say maybe even 2% after the cyber dogs killed a whole bunch of them.
And then the cyber dog gets, and then the random interrupts swept house after that.
Yep.
Yeah. And with the lupus, you might as well go into that brain with like a domesticated dog. Like if you really just can't get into the lupus mindset, if you can't really think practical ways, if you say I'm looking at my dog, I'm looking at my pet dog, I'm looking at my neighbor's dog, and that's the reference point I'm using for my character, then the best I can recommend you would be a Glasswalker, a Child of Gaia, or a Bonar lupus in that case.
Yeah, because here, people tell you this from here. Wolves are not dogs, because unlike dogs, wolves are still wild creatures. Can they grow to understand a human presence? Yes, but can you ever go up to a wolf and pet it? Fuck no.
It depends on which part of the country or area you're at.
Exactly.
Wolves at the far north of Canada don't actually have human exposure, so they will literally just run up to you and start licking and sniffing you because they have never had a human encounter in their entire life before.
And
they actually don't know what you are.
I think you're misunderstanding wild animals because humans smell weird to wild animals, and we taste disgusting to them.
You got the wild animals. See, and show me the Canada link. Send me that.
The Canada link.
That's it. Yeah, like Canada wolf interaction.
Oof, that's going to be a while. It's been like 2 years since I last saw it, but basically some video journalists just set up a tent way far north for Alaska or Canada, right at a wolf den, and the wolves would just come over to them because they had no fear of humans.
See it. I see. I found a TikTok. Let's see. Let's get this going.
So, yeah, the wolves would socialize with them, go into their tents and all of that.
Yeah. What the fuck?
Yes, my point is very simple. You can't start the interaction with the wild animal. You have to wait for them to touch you first.
Yep.
You just can't like approach it. It's the same like approaching that pit bull with an open hand. You're going to get that bitten off. Ryan, you see this? You see this link I just posted?
I can in a second.
See that?
I saw that one before. That's actually a resort where the owners of the resort have actually been feeding those wolves for years.
Yeah.
They may or may not be domesticated, not domesticated, just captive.
Sorry, I don't have.
I wouldn't call that domesticated because people still say don't have wolves at home because they will still bite you on the slightest thing because they're still wild animals.
Yeah.
That's technically not true. There's a thing called play bites and intention bites that people get confused.
Yeah.
But generally, if you raise them from a puppy,
it gives you the pibble nibble.
I mean, the only reason they're going to hurt you is if you mistake it for an attack, which a lot of people do, and that leads to a drag across the skin injury, where it actually tears open the skin. But otherwise, if you were just to stand there and let them complete the bite, it wouldn't even break the skin.
Yeah, I got it pulled up right here. Yeah, the wolf play bites.
And you missed my point here. What I'm telling you is you as a person or a professional animal keeper doesn't know that 99% of the time. You don't understand how every animal works, especially wild animals.
Yeah. So what you're saying is that you're saying that we need to get an actual animal expert in here to talk about this.
Yeah, that's what I'm personally saying. Yeah, only people who actually understand animals and raise animals should be talking and handling animals this often.
All right, so everything we just said about this episode is just complete bullshit, and this is just a waste of everybody's time. Then
I'm saying to Edin, don't listen to him as an example.
I mean, I've been literally researching it for years because I've been wanting to have a pet wolf.
All right,
let's just move forward. We'll say agree to disagree and move forward from here.
All right, so there we go.
Sorry. Right, I was about to say earlier the topic about lupus learning fucking technology. Wolves can learn it. They just, because of how lupus work, it's a very great story point. Because lupus will be like, why do you keep touching that why do you keep touching that metal or glass device in your hand? What's so useful about it?
Mm-hmm. And what else is this? You got tribe by tribe kind of play, which is what I want to bring up next, where every tribe is going to treat their lupus a little bit differently. Because after all, you got like the rare cases with the Glasswalkers where very few of them are lupus at all. And then you got the Red Talons, which is almost entirely lupus. So how exactly this is very tribe for tribe. And let's see, look at this. So Black Furies. Now, Ryan, what's their whole shtick again? I don't know, feminism?
Yeah, that's one of them.
Yeah, girl power. I don't know. Because after all, would an alpha male concept really gel with the Black Fury?
A lupus? Maybe.
Because with the lupus, with the Omega female concept I brought up earlier in the video, you're looking over at the Gillar Nation, you're wondering, well, why does this matter? Like, this is how it always was back in my pack, but why is this different? I don't really get what you're trying to tell me, Black Fury. And you have to teach a wild animal the complex relationship between man and woman that a wolf never really needed to understand or talk about in the first place. And
because if you remember correctly, wolf packs are actually just a mother and a father wolf. The way it is most of the time.
Yeah, it's the parents that start the pack, and then it just stems off of that. And
with the Black Furies, it could actually work in the stereotypical way, because sometimes yearling males, before they reach sexual maturity, will split off. If there's like not enough food, the parents will just shoo off their oldest children, and you can have a mature female actually meet up with the yearlings and they'll bond, but not mate yet. And in that case, a female is actually superior to the males.
Wait, hold on. I think you answered this question once. Because you said if a woman can't find a dude, she'll just go into the wild and have kids with lupus. Because Black Furies don't hate dudes; they hate what men have become.
Yeah.
Yep.
There isn't a perfect man.
There's an ideal man out there, but he's known as the wild. And you can't just necessarily come in and make the wild your husband. That's not how it works. So you sometimes just gotta make do. But occasionally you have a Hamid Black Fury that just can't stand men and their bullshit and goes off and finds a lupus and then makes a lupus Black Fury with that, and then just forgets where they put their kid, and then the kid goes off, never learns about feminism, and then you have to kin fetch him.
Yeah.
And then start the whole arc of, I need to teach a wolf, a wild animal, that women are better than men.
Yeah, it's very much so. They can accept men of other species because that's just the wild at that point. What they dislike is human men, to be more exact.
And it would be the wet dream of the Black Furies for wolf society to all of a sudden become matriarchal. That it reflects, say, the spotted hyena where the women lead the hyenas. Is it the spotted or the striped hyena? It's one of the two. Either way, pennies on a dollar. But to them, if wolves became matriarchal, that would be a dream come true with the Black Furies. And I feel like that would just strongly validate them. It would give so much power to Pegasus and so much power to Medusa. They would love that for that to happen, but it probably never is. You can't just hardwire instinct, and you can't just get that out of a wolf. Because after all, you try telling a wolf, the big woman should be the one leading you. A wolf isn't going to understand what the fuck you're telling them.
Yeah, I think that's the point why Black Furies don't consider male wolves as a problem. They consider human males the problem because they actually have higher brain function.
Right. See, the Bonars, which is a tribe that has almost no lupus in it. Very few lupus are in this tribe.
You mean dog wolf?
Because after all... What? What?
We're forgetting about Scooter.
Snooter?
Snooter.
Well, I want to say you're right, Ryan, but he was a metis.
He was a metis?
He was a metis.
Yeah.
Damn.
To clarify, the Bonars do have lupus, but their lupuses are wolf dogs.
Yeah, because you have examples in this book where, I don't know, the Bonars just break into a man's zoo and fuck his wolf and then just dip, and that's the actual example.
Yeah, the Bonars don't care about mixing their gene pool with dogs because dogs and wolves are very much so related, but there is a distinct difference to describe.
Yeah, there is. I remember reading in one of the books that it said that Bonars will oftentimes mate with dogs, but that'll never produce a Garu. It has to have some wolf DNA in it to actually have a chance of actually becoming a Garu. So wolf dogs would work, but not regular dogs.
Yes.
Yeah. And wolf dogs are happen because just the wolf fucked their dog. So it can happen on the first generation.
Yeah,
Second, probably not.
You need stuff like the Husky and the Malamute and the I think the Akita works as well, but
yeah, because of
No,
that,
they don't.
they don't. Okay.
yeah, and because of that one, out of all the werewolf societies, the fucking Bonars are actually relatively good in numbers because of that, because they're willing to go that far.
You're willing to go to that level of desperation, and that's what keeps the Bonars alive.
Yes.
Ironically, when you're desperate enough or life is down enough, people actually start having kids just to have a reason to keep on going.
There it is. You look at NAFT in America and NAFTA in America, and you say the government's going to give me a tax break if I have 4 kids or more in my household. Well, let's sign me up.
Yeah, it's and because that one you can have a lupus character and still know a lot of human nomenclature because you are a wolf dog.
And you can tell this book is old because they thought that the koi dog was going to take off. It didn't. The
To
koi
be
dog.
fair, it's the koi wolf, and
Yeah.
technically the further north you get, like in New York State area, kind of, they're actually more dog than wolf inside of the koi wolf, but the further south you go, the less dog there is in ratio to wolf instead of the coyote hybrids.
Let me retract that. I said koi dog. Koi wolf is what I wanted to say. Thank you. And with
I mean, they did take off though. They're everywhere now.
They're everywhere. Just going to take. Then we sure going to take over the world.
They're literally all over North America right now.
With the Bonar, how exactly do you play a Bonar lupus? You ever see a street dog? Edin, are you in Mexico yet?
No, I'm leaving in a few days.
Okay. Edin, when you're in Mexico, look for how many Mexicans will just have their dogs out and walking around the street.
Okay. Right. There used to be a thing called the Mexican wolf in Mexico.
Yeah. You had that, and I think that's like I think they're in super low numbers now. I gotta fact check myself on that.
Artificial breeding program. A few were released into the wild. An interesting thing is that Mexican wolves cannot communicate with other wolf subspecies. Their howls are just distinct enough to other wolves that they don't recognize them.
There is the Mexican wolf as a T1 endangered species.
Yep.
And it's found in
timber and Arctic wolves can actually howl and communicate with each other perfectly fine, but they can't with the Mexican wolf.
And there's more of them in Arizona and New Mexico than there are in Mexico. But that's what you get
very much
and in Mexico, from the story, I've never been there, so I just could be talking out my ass. But from what I've heard, it's like a Mexican culture thing that you're not that concerned with putting your dog on a leash. The dog knows how to get home. And you got packs of wild dogs that walk around in Mexico that just own the neighborhood, just go around, look for stuff to eat, other smaller animals or trash. That's what you're doing with the Bonar lupus. You are the street dog. Yeah. And go around.
Last time I was in Mexico, even in some of the more urban areas, open sewers are a thing still.
Yeah. You love to smell shit in the morning.
Yeah, cats may have better reflexes, but I'm sorry, the cat is not surviving once the dog gets their jaw on around them.
Is after that. You're a Bonard. Your daily objective is to find the neighbor's cat and eat it.
It's fucked up, but that could be a plot point.
that's your character introduction.
And you go up to the Bonard and ask, why the fuck do you keep eating people's cats? One bit me as a child, and now I am just traumatized by them. What the fuck?
You're wiping that blood off your lips.
Fun fact, a wolf can actually break open every single bone in the human body with a single bite.
That is not surprising.
Yep. Their bite force is 50% stronger than the German Shepherd, which itself was actually a dog breed made by intermixing dogs and wolves.
Let's see.
Yeah. Anyway, next
Children of Gaia. Okay, but you remember everything I just said about the Bonars? You take that, but then you coddle that wolf to the point where it might as well be a dog, given how much affection you just showed for it.
Yeah, he's like the example that Edin get. They're the wolves that are willing to approach humans and actually not bite them on sight.
Because humans are precious to the children of Gaia. The metis is precious. All life is precious, even the life of the worm. It's all precious. We don't want to hurt nobody. We're not going to bite nobody. We're going to give you a little pibble nibble, and then that's it. That's as much as we're going to hurt you. And, well, I don't think we need to really reiterate that much, because everything I said about the Barnards is also true with the children of Gaia. But probably to the point where your character might come across as a pussy in some scenes.
Yeah, a little less working within human society, but yeah, still pretty much working with humanity.
Mm-hmm. It's the relationship we had in the Sunday game with Faster Than Sounds and Paris Clausen.
Yep. Love that interaction between them.
Yeah, to be honest, to the point that I think the children of Gaia have a gift to make their lupuses look like dogs.
Mm-hmm. They do. It's a second level gift. Where, and this can be any dog that's around the same size. Like, you can make yourself look like a Mastiff or a Great Dane. Just disguise yourself. Even though a wolf is significantly larger than a dog, you can do it.
Yeah, you see all those videos when you put a husky next to a wolf, and there is a fucking difference.
Behold, it's my mutant Labrador. He's very large. Don't question it.
Yeah, if you ever seen the video of that giant wolf who sat down but was still almost big as a person sitting, that is a wolf with a giant merit.
Or the wolves when they get on their hind legs and around 6 feet tall, standing up.
That's
the one King mentioned was actually a forced perspective shot, but it was actually pretty big.
Yeah, big damn dog.
Pretty big.
Fianna. Okay, the Fianna lupus isn't really a thing anymore, given that Ireland doesn't have a native wolf population anymore. But
it doesn't. All wolves you would see in Ireland were transported to there.
And now the Children of Dire, the all lupus pack camp of the Fianna, that is beginning to die off. That might as well be a pack, not even a camp by this point. Where the Fianna have just so thoroughly integrated with human culture that the thought of mating with a lupus doesn't cross our mind anymore. It's Hamid, and only Hamid. It's not like they do this intentionally like the Red Talons do with lupus. It's more like the thought never crosses the Fianna's mind by this point. Same thing with the Metis, where they're even though they make a lot of Metis, they're horrified by the idea of the Metis, because after all, the Fianna are a very superstitious pack. After all, they have a right to be superstitious, because how many times have something, I don't know, deformed or misshapen almost been their death and destruction? After all, that you remember the Fomori Wars. After Baylor, the Evil Eye, comes across and ravages your entire people, you're going to be superstitious about that.
They have a gift because of how fucking terrifying that bitch was.
I don't remember. I honestly don't remember who said it in the server, but I remember somebody said that the Fianna came across as ableist. I don't necessarily think it's that. I think it's more because if you had a Fianna in a wheelchair, they would still be part of the family. You'd still have that. They just won't be on the battlefield. It's
how to put this here.
It's more that what
when you're born with deformities that make you look twisted. That's the point that Fianna would double take at you.
Where if you look like a Fomori, then you probably have the same powers as a Fomori and the same thoughts as one, and that's a problem to them.
Yeah.
And well, if you are in the event, you are a child of Dire. You are treated super special by the Fianna. You're seen, if you continue to live, then the Fianna will live. If you die, the tribe dies with you. There's this whole superstitious aspect about the Children of Dire, where as long as they exist, the Fianna will exist. And you're going to be coddled in comparison to every other lupus, because the Fianna want to gas you up as much as possible and make sure that you survive. Because after all, these are the same people that won't pick up a penny when it's tails up and won't step on cracks on the sidewalk. Let's see here.
Very superstitious.
Riding on the wall.
Yeah, you were right. There is no native wolves left in Ireland. Native.
There aren't. There's no snakes. There's no forest. Ireland and England fucking suck. Don't ever go there.
Yeah, because I forget someone. I think it was Britain that killed all its native wolf population.
It did. Scotland was a terrible place to vacation. Don't ever go to Scotland. See, get a Fenris. All right, so you still have wolves in Scandinavia. You have plenty of Gefenris lupus to go around. Don't worry about that. And same thing with the Gefenris. Once you are discovered by the Gefenris as their kin, they're going to bring you in, and they're immediately going to put you to the training from hell. You're going to get gassed up. You're here to fight. You're here to kill. You're going to be glorious. You're going to be remembered forever. You're going to go in. You're going to kill the worm. You're going to kill the Fomori, and it's going to be awesome. And with that, you're going to get the big inflated ego of the Gefenris. But you have a reason to, because the Gefenris are the best werewolf. So your lupus werewolf, after all, Grim. I still say, Ryan, you hit out of the park when you did Grim.
I'm not gonna lie, I love Gellerfenris just because of what they are.
Yeah. Yes, the Gellerfenris. How do I put this here? If the Gellerfenris is the archetypical warrior werewolf. What it means to be a warrior. They are the embodiment of the warrior werewolf. The Silver Fangs are, to skip a little bit, are the noble werewolf. Yeah. Fully attempt at a noble werewolf.
And speaking of the leadership aspect, the Gefenris, as listed in the book, page 33, sometimes they'll just want to like pretend they have a big dick, and they'll just go off into the pack that raised them. Whatever family members might still be around, and they'll just go around and just be with that pack for a year as the boss wolf. Just destroy their own egos. They like being in charge, saying like, yeah, you survived because I'm here. I'm keeping you alive. That kind of feeling with the Gefenris.
Yeah. And the Gellerfenris do have a good percentage. Not all of them, because it's still mostly Hame, but at least 20 to 30% of them are lupus.
And they have a lot of positions when it comes to rights and moots, because with some Gellerfenris rights, there's an entire portion of the moot where the lupus take the stage and then stay on the stage, and you have, it's the lupus hour for the moot. And that's what you get. And this is the only tribe that gets away with taking kinfolk away from the Red Talons. Because after all, if the Gefenris does something, you don't tell that to the Gefenris' face. If you have a problem with them, you're not going to go up and say it to a Gefenris, because they will just cave your face in with one punch.
Yeah, the Gefenris are very much so. All right, I'm wrong. Prove it to me now.
Yeah. There's only one place that the Gefenris don't really hang around, the western parts of Asia. Not western parts of Asia, eastern parts of Asia. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I understand what you meant.
Because there's not really much for them to do there. They're not really interested in Chinese warfare and Japanese samurai. They don't really care about that kind of crap. It's the Stargazers and the Shadow Lords can play with that kind of stuff.
I always found it funny idea for a character, a Gellerfenris to go down to China and look at the werewolves and look at the fucking beast courts and go like, what the fuck?
This sucks. Guys, you gotta suck. Let me show you how it's done. This is how we do it in America. This is how we do it in Dutchland.
And immediately try to stranglehold a fucking shit. What's the name of I forget the name of the tribe of werewolves that hang around in China, but
Stargazers.
They immediately try to stranglehold a Stargazer.
That's what any werewolf would do that starts Stargazer to another Stargazer. You guys are idiots. You're dying because of how stupid you are.
Go back to Asia. Wait, hold on. What tribal werewolves hanged around Egypt? Was it Stargazers?
Silent Striders.
Silent Striders, right? You also run the Silent Striders in Asia too.
Yeah. Glasswalkers. All right. So there is no such thing as a feral lupus with the Glasswalkers. This is not a thing. There is no Glasswalker that gets the idea of, I want to live out my fur affinity fantasy of running off into the woods and having sex with a wolf. That just doesn't happen. But every lupus that is in the Glasswalkers was already in captivity with the Glasswalkers. I'm reading this from Raise the Wolf. And no Glasswalker, once they are lupus and then they first change, ever gets the instinct to really leave the Glasswalkers and go off into the woods. You're not going to go off and live a Tarzan story. You're not going to say, I grew up with all these computers and I forsake it to run off and be in nature. That doesn't happen, because you grew up in the future. The Glasswalkers have the future technology today. You're not going to leave that.
Not Book of the Wolf. The Glasswalker tribe book, second edition, I think, clarified that They do have some wildish wolves, but they tend to hang around in, like, parks or, like, near suburban neighborhoods.
Oh, I'm in nature. Sir, this is Central Park.
Yep. Although
Or
Central Park is absolutely massive, you can literally get lost in the wilderness and die.
Mhm. There it is.
But
We're going to do like that. The Jake Paul Aokigahara, but in Central Park.
yep. Glasswalker book mentioned that their lupus actually are starting to act like domestic dogs or wolf dogs in terms of behavior.
Because after all, the
And
lupus aren't talking to any other lupus. They're talking to humans.
yep, and dogs.
Yeah.
So
So,
it actually seems to sort of work out in the long term.
yeah.
Because I remember one of the dreams of the Garu is that society where Garu, humans, and wolves will actually coexist and be equals. The
Mhm.
Glasswalkers are actually the closest for that being a thing, just because their lupus are more dog-like.
Mhm. You have
Yeah,
a wolf that doesn't know how to be a wolf with the
yeah,
Glasswalkers.
and to argue against that, it is a nice idea, but that idea will eventually make all lupus into dogs
Yeah,
for
but
all working together harmony.
that is the red talon nightmare in that case. It
Yeah.
is
Yep,
their that they hate that prospect so much.
yep,
If a red talon sees a glasswalker, they will just seethe about it, and they do everything they can to try to get that lupus glasswalker out of the glasswalkers and into the red talons. They'll try to forcibly convert them,
Yep.
and
your point, they might just kill it outright because they don't want its dog-like behavior polluting the gene pool.
you're going to come
Um,
in. You're going to be a spin doctor to the wolf pack. You're going to have to lead them all astray. It's better if you just die.
well, to be fair, the the red talon would probably not kill it, but will very much so say, "Don't come near me ever again, you fucking abomination."
Yes.
So one of the benefits of glasswalkers having lupus and their wolf kinfolk as pets, kind of, is that you can actually have like a guardian to most kinfolk that most tribes generally don't.
Yes. And
To be fair, the glasswalkers are
Yes,
really close to their kinfolk compared to pretty much any other tribe.
well, yeah,
To the
given that
point it's actually a vulnerability that Pentex oftentimes exploits with like dependence on drugs, blackmail, and all of that.
because after
yes,
all, with the corporate wolves, your grandfather is a set leader. You work for his company. Of course, you know everybody in the Glasswalkers.
yeah.
Yep.
That's the down. That's why werewolves don't typically tell their kinfolks everything about werewolf society because they're a
Mhm.
lot easier to capture.
Yeah, and interrogate. And speaking of interrogation, Shadow Lords. Well,
That's a fucking bastard of a wolf.
they used to have a lot of lupus until the values and strategies of the Shadow Lords began to change, and they started acting more and more like humans, and then started acting more and more like vampires. Like I was saying with the slogan with the Shadow Lords, you're the werewolf that acts and plays like a vampire. And now they still have lupus. You have some wild wolf populations in East Europe, and you don't really emphasize that. You're not there is no big importance with the Shell Lords saying we must have lupus members. That's not really the thing anymore. The goal with the Shell Lords is world domination. That's what you want. If you dominate the world but you don't have lupus, you're not going to cry about it. They do have populations in the Carpathians, the Eastern Balkans, and both of those regions are dominated by the Zimichi, and you're beginning to wonder maybe there's another reason why they don't have a lupus population like they used to.
Do you happen to know what a Casanova wolf is?
Tell me this.
It's basically an atypical male wolf that will actively go to like the packs of other wolves and mate with their daughters without
Mhm.
actually forming a mate bond or the daughter actually leaving the pack.
I see it. There's one wolf in
Yep.
particular that's being studied about that. To
Yep.
live from 2000 to 2009.
Yep. And I'm thinking that's a prototypical Shadow Lord wolf. Scheming, deceptive.
To be fair, they do like the concept of wolves stalking people in the dead of night with fur so black you can't see them from the darkness.
The Shadow Lords are pervs. That's what they are.
I
But
said,
basically that concept, because normally wolves aren't scheming or something like that, and Shadow
Mhm.
Lords, they're all about the human scheming, the backstabbing, the deception, and wolves are too straightforward for that. So I feel like they don't really like them simply because of that. And the only ones they would like would be like the Casanova wolves that just they sneak in when the alpha males are away, mate with one of the daughters, and then sneak out. Then occasionally bring food to it to help support the pups.
Have you heard of the John Maynard Smith came up with this idea? Have you heard of the sneaky fucker when it comes to
Yes,
animal
I've
mating?
heard it a bunch.
It's a
Where
thing that animals do. They'll sneak in and see, the alpha's not around. Bend over, female.
so, they sneak in and they're saying, "Oh, I'm weak, I'm submissive, I'm not a threat to you, man." And then they come over and they fuck your mate behind your back.
Oftentimes it occurs with a polygamous
Mhm.
male
Yes.
a species with polygamous males where they actually compete and the winner
Mhm.
takes most or all of the females.
Yes. Amongst human circles, we call them liberals.
That's mean, but not that wrong.
So there it is. You got the blue pill, Kamala Walls Shadow Lord for your next character.
Okay, come. All right.
He's at a
All right, who's
college
next
campus
on the
trying to get many red up votes.
look here? All right. All I will
Kamala
say
Harris
here
with
is,
the Shadow Lord that got demented.
look here. I'll tell you this to the world of the internet from my experiences. Women, for all I've met, do not like submissive men. So, here's your fucking answer.
No, you're going to take him for a ride. You're going to take his money, and then you're going to lose him.
Well, actually, there's some studies that dispute what you just said, King. Specifically, while women are pregnant or on birth control, because birth control works by the same mechanisms as when a woman's pregnant hormonally, and women that are pregnant prefer softer or more submissive men because they want a man that is more supportive and less likely to harm their children after they're born.
That is,
I typed in what I just said. It's a working theory.
Edit,
And
let me hold on. Let me do something here before we jump back to the thing. What? Feel me as I reach to the internet, put my hand on your shoulder. Was I saying pregnant women?
see, woman,
No, but women
yeah,
on birth control.
yeah, looking at this. I'm
Okay,
looking at
good.
what he's saying. That studies that started in 2017.
Okay, long as
Yeah,
we're aware to
yeah.
clarify. Anyway,
Let's look at
next try.
is that looking at women who are pregnant, pregnancy drive. Side Striders. Let's check this out. What? Side Striders. All right. So Side Striders don't really have the time to just sit down and raise kids, because after all, you're the mailman. The mail has to be delivered by memory. You don't write it down. You have to remember this spoken message and then speak it to somebody.
Well,
Uh,
I remember reading in one of the other books that it might have been Changing Ways W20 or Kinfolk Unsung,
mhm.
but it said male Garu, generally speaking, just mate with the female and run off if they
With
can't be with
Not that
her and
surprising.
just occasionally support her.
because
But if
after all,
you're a female, like a Silent Strider, it's possibly that you have a wolf in the back of your van you just keep with you, or a kinfolk drive the van around and you're just having your litter in the back and it just moves around.
yeah, which is what you gotta do, because you have to stop the apocalypse. You can't stop and raise your kid.
Yep.
Yeah,
But yeah. So but
which
so
I
with this,
find I find
what?
absolutely funny. I find absolutely funny. You would say, "Hey, pregnant woman, leave me alone," and watch your ass get handed to you by a pregnant woman. Go-
That you just described Insta Road in our Rich West Appalachia game.
I
But
do not fucking care.
the same
But
source book also says that female Garu, if they're having wolf pups, will oftentimes just leave the pups on their own and just wander off as soon as the pups are old enough to hunt by themselves. Just leave them with the male.
so so
Yeah,
with the so with the Silent Striders, the book, I'm not entirely satisfied with the answer that the book gives you, because it kind of just raises its hands in the air and says, "Oh, the Silent Striders are just kind of enigmatic. I don't know what's going on with them. Just why they pick lupus sometimes." But you can think of a reason as to why, because you have the Seekers and the Harbingers, where members of the Silent Striders will get visions of the future. So perhaps it's Owl or Gaia passing them a vision saying, "You see that lupus over there? If you make a werewolf with that wolf, then that offspring will go off and stop this disaster from happening."
yeah.
Well, wolf packs have been known to hunt wander up to 40 miles in a day just chasing scents to get food. So it
Yeah.
wouldn't surprise me if they're mating with one of those more active
You
hunting
traveled
wolves.
40 miles just for this.
Yeah,
Anyway, to clarify, the Sinosaurus are very opportunist when it comes to lupus. If there's no claimed lupus around, they might just go for it.
Yes. Where you're in the middle of the wilderness, you haven't seen a human in 7 days. The best you got is a wolf. Bombs away. And there's there's a paragraph and a few sentences worth of information when it comes to Silent Striders. How many lines is this? Just 9, 12 lines in the Silent Striders, and that's it. So really that's kind of it with Silent Striders, well, in terms of text. But how would you play a lupus Silent Strider? Honestly, I don't think it's that different from a Hobbit Silent Strider. But I'm almost thinking that a lupus Silent Strider would be better at the job than a Hobbit would. Because after all, the boss tells me what to do. Okay, boss, sure thing, boss. You don't let any sort of emotion or anything get in the way of getting the job done. You go off, deliver the message, you get the message in return, you go back, deliver that message, and then that's it. That's just the job. You don't worry about anything else going on.
one has lupus, like I mentioned, with the hunting range, like 40 miles.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can travel pretty far if you can't use a moon bridge, and you have to travel without a race suspicion, or if you're going to be tracked by humans, just by going into wilds.
Yeah.
It's after all, it's you're a workaholic whenever you pick a Silent Strider. Let's see. Let's see. Night. You ready for this, Ryan? Stargazers.
Hey, Stargazers.
Oh God.
So there's I don't think this is necessarily right, given what I read in Stargazer's first and second edition, but this was a tribe that originally imposed the Imperium and kind of sort of formed to oppose the Imperium. So most of the lupus that formed the early Stargazers were lupus that learned what humanity was and sympathized with it and didn't want to see them die. And this continues on with the Stargazers, with what few Stargazers are still around. They do have lupus. Now, am I right saying that there are wolves in China?
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, because how China looks, you will find it's like America. It's pretty much nothing but city, then just a miles of forest, then city again.
I see it. You have wolves in the Tibetan plateau.
There's also lots of plains, plateaus, mountains, and some deserts.
Sounds like a typical Civ game.
China, for all its pollution problems, still has a very varied and beautiful ecosystem.
Yeah, just half the country is disgusting, and the other half is pretty.
Yeah,
you so much pretty, just barren wasteland naturally. But the thing is, because it's naturally barren wasteland, people don't want to be there, and therefore don't actually pollute it to the point it's unlivable. It's just really sparse and not able to hold many people, as opposed to all the polluted areas where you literally can't form a society there. Everything has to be brought in.
Right.
To clarify here, China, the cities where Chinese people live, or the cities in China, are starting to get acid rain. Now, let me really clarify here. I don't remember that one exactly, but I think I remember acid rain is starting to become a thing. Most around China.
It was a thing back in the day until they did their pollution controls just for public images. But it's still a thing, and it's just getting worse again. Most surface water is unusable in China.
So I'm looking at this. Yeah, that like 40% of all terrestrial areas in China are suffering from acid rain.
Yeah, my statement on that matter is because how China functions is how I describe here. The water near cities is nigh undrinkable. The water outside the cities is actually drinkable.
No. About 80% of all surface water, including rivers and lakes, is too contaminated to be used.
Yeah.
Most of the water is actually in the city areas, actually, aside from rivers that bring it in.
What the fuck? Liberals, if you have a problem with pollution, go to fucking China.
I'm typing in surface water China drinkable. Around 60% of China's surface water is safe for drinking. So this is coming from Google.
Wolves?
What?
Yeah.
Are there any
You
wolves?
gotta watch China Uncensored.
Yeah.
My statement is behind that. It's probably not that bad, because if it was, the wildlife around China wouldn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
I just said it's too contaminated for human consumption, not wildlife.
You should have led.
Yeah. An animal gut can take it.
Yeah,
Ryan, were you
especially
asking
an
something?
animal that lives for like 10 years versus a human that lives for 100. The human's going to die, get cancer. Or, sorry, I should say the animal will die before it develops cancer. A human won't.
Yeah.
All right, you should have led with that one. It's unstable for humans.
Let's see. Ryan, you were saying something?
Yeah, I was getting us back on topic of are there any wolves in China?
Yeah,
there are.
Yeah,
the Tibetan Plateau and then certain parts of southern China.
Also the Mongolian plains, including into Mongolia, then into what China calls Inner Mongolia, which is actually part of China, according to them.
So how likely are there lupus and
if there is a
extremely
lupus
likely
in that area, given that the stargazers have shacked up in the land that used to be Tibet and refuse to leave it now, every wolf in the Tibetan plateau is theirs, and the Red Talons will allow it. The Red Talons don't really like China. They don't have a big presence in China. The Red Talons don't want to go to China. So if there is a Chinese wolf, the stargazers get it.
There's also the Mongolian plains. People in that area generally have a really good respect for wolves. They don't hunt them out of like malice or anything. They're actually herders, not cattle farms.
Yes.
So they accept that the wolves will actually take their prey at times, and they just outright like the wolves. They're really spiritual, so that's actually a place where wolves would get along really well and just thrive.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's the only. If I were to be honest here, if a Red Time were to see that, they would probably say, "You know what? I can understand wolf compromise now."
And they don't take converts anymore. If you have a stargazer that wants to convert, if you have a stargazer that wants to convert into the stargazers, they don't accept that anymore. Because they're on the whole mission of we want to stay in China and die in China. Don't die with us. Go off and do something else.
To be fair, there's also stargazers in the Himalayan mountain range in northern India.
Right.
Yeah. I forgot to mention this. There is actually a population of red talons in China. Just they're very rare.
Very, very tiny. So
small.
And the red talons and stargazers, they get along, but they don't necessarily see each other as friends, because the red talons are all about practicality, the stargazers are all about the conceptual.
They see each other as a necessity.
Yeah, like you have to rely on each other to survive, because China has the Kuei Jin in it, and the Kuei Jin are killing everybody who's not Kuei Jin.
The Kuei Jin are very territorial, and they do not like how the kindred have a good percent of Japan. They do not like that.
They're not happy about the Kuei Jin existing, given to the Yama Kings. Now they're all male Jin and Karna.
I hate this idea, and I hope someone hears this. The Kuei Jin were born because of Eastern philosophy. What would happen? You had Eastern influence inside the West. Would Kuei Jin be born there?
Yes.
That's what I was saying.
Your belief system makes it true, which is what happened with Stygia and with the Deadlands and the conquest of Stygia.
That's why I say the Kuei Jin were a good idea. They had a lot of good potential, just they got disregarded too quickly.
They got disregarded, and White Wolf ran out of money too quickly.
Before we leave the Stargazers, I just want to point out there's like a meme / eye roll sentence that every storyteller that I've talked to, about it just has. And it's that there's one phrase you never want to hear. It's Stargazer Lupus Arun, which is the most power gamer build you can do. That's also the worst thing that a player / storyteller can roleplay as.
More so than the Get Ephemeris.
Post about it later, but continue with the.
No, hold on. Tell me about this. Why does Stargazers above the Get Ephemeris?
It's been a while since I last heard about it, but it's basically it gives you the most bonus starting stats of any combination of tribe, breed, and
4
and
willpower, 5 gnosis, 5 rage.
Yep.
Okay.
Now I see it. Now I see it. And yeah, I would never recommend the Stargazers to anybody as the first tribe.
No.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Ryan over here, you're stargazing just fine. Don't worry about that.
I'd also like to point out that having the lupus stargazer, when the lupus mindset is so direct and the stargazers are so abstract, is really hard to roleplay if you can even think about it. Because first you have to get into the lupus mindset and have to wrangle around weird strings of like thought and yarn to try to make it like a philosopher wolf. Because you have to as a stargazer.
You get introduced to the concept of good and evil, and then you have to start philosophizing as a lupus who has never done this in his life.
Yep.
Let me put it right here. As a stargazer lupus, you could definitely argue starting with 6 thoughts and Genos because of how fucking spiritual they are.
You could say that with being a lupus, if you come to ideas like the Buddhist ideas of enlightenment, where a lupus starts off detached from these things and doesn't really see a value in this kind of stuff, then you could say that if you're playing as a stargazer werewolf and your goal is to try to reach enlightenment, are you already ahead of your Hamid brothers because you don't have that much attachment and you're not as susceptible to the 6 desires?
Yeah. Wait, hold on. Wait, I think let me just make one statement clear to correct myself. There are 3 werewolf tribes in China. Yeah. There's the Red Talons, Stargazers, and the fucking Shadow Lords.
Yeah, the Shadow Lords. The Hakken.
Yeah, the Hakken. But those are the 3 tribes you will ever find in werewolf tribes because there's other breeds in the.
Technically, the Glasswalkers are in Japan and Eastern China.
Yeah, the Glasswalkers, and then there's Bonars and Noctena everywhere.
Yeah, I state that because they're the only tribes with any real power in the East.
Yeah, but any sizable population. Yeah. I realized I skipped over Silverfangs. Let's go over Silverfangs.
Right, that was me.
So you notice the irony here with the Silverfangs that these are the guys that started the Imperium and said that all humans needed to die and that we were going to live like kings off of lupus kinfolk. And now this is one of the tribes that has the fewest lupus in the nation.
I remember you saying that the Silverfangs told the Red Talons off the idea and that they'll just at first mate with all the humans to the point that they'll just swamp them with Garu. And that didn't work out.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
of course it doesn't work out. No Garu is that fucking horny. We actually do something.
Yeah, the Silverfangs have a lot of stupid ideas, and that was one of them.
Yeah.
Masters of Faction Logic, the Silverfangs. They won't do this unless they're trying to, say, score an Arun Lupus. The Silverfangs will only ever mate with a Lupus, I shit you not, when they're trying to power game. They're trying to get that. They have the Geological Society. They're looking at the moon phases. They're planning out births. They only ever do this with a Lupus when they're trying to make a build.
Before you go on further along that point, I'd like to point out there is actually a gift in this book that lets you see or determine if a wolf is capable of producing offspring with certain traits.
Yeah,
and Pure Breed is one of them, and it specifically names the Silverfangs in it.
Yeah, you know what? I would actually take it saying, "What's your player concept? Power build," and you explain this one. I would actually, as a DM, say, "You know what? Go ahead, actually play it." That actually makes sense.
Yeah, after all, if anybody comes to my game with a Silverfang, I'm not going to say no to that.
Because the Silverfangs are like how to describe this here, or like the She.
That is the least played tribe, is my reasoning.
Yeah, my statement is, but they're like the She, because to be a Silverfang that gains respect, you have to gain everyone's respect. It's not like the Silverfangs never gain anyone's respect. It's just that the level of competence outweighs the level of smart ones most of the damn time.
I'm the Lupus Garu, and I'm gonna go across to Russia to see my beautiful baby Lupus boy. He's got blonde hair and blue eyes, and he looks just like my mother.
Okay, all right, that's enough. But to clarify this one here, to clarify all the anti-werewolf hate, the current werewolf king, the one with the silver crown, is actually beloved by all werewolf society, and he's ranked 6.
Yeah, because he wasn't born into Silverfang's bullshit. He actually got to live a normal life.
Yeah, he is the current leader of all werewolf nations, and he actually has the respect of all werewolf nations.
And you compare that with the Ice Claw family and the Savarovich family, where you can't cure the disease if you're born with the disease.
Yeah.
And see who's next. The Actina. who are
Right.
who are associated with every tribe in the world. And given
Well,
that
I
they're
wouldn't say that, but yeah.
and given that they're everywhere, of course they would have lupus with them. And what's the lupus here for? Why would you go and you make a lupus? Well, of course you have your own personal reasons with the antenna, but more often than not, they want to keep to their spiritual roots because, after all, mysticism and spiritualism and animism is super important to the antenna. So if you're a lupus, you're born with more gnosis. You're going to have the spirit baby who's going to be our pet priest and already knows how to communicate with the spirits of the land because he's lived in the land and has more connection than Muhammad does.
Oh, I
You
just thought
get
of a cool antenna tribe because the antenna are all native peoples of the Americas. You could
yes,
be from a mostly Spanish people, well, not Spanish, clarified Spanish are from actually Europe.
yeah.
Mostly Mexican people, and you're from a Utina. That actually sounds
Mhm.
like a cool idea. Like Spanish, a Mexican Utina.
They're playing a Desperado antenna.
Yep.
That is after playing Javier Escuela, but he's antenna.
I was
And
thinking of a stick, but yeah, okay.
and along with the antenna, well, the antenna realize that but the antenna dream is we live in a world where the white man is dead or the white man is our slave. They know that if they over specialize into that fantasy, it's going to be their destruction. So having lupus members is super important to them because the lupus don't care about race. They don't care about that. They instead have the antenna's other identity, which is, say, the super shaman. That's what you got. They're very synonymous with the dream speakers. They specifically gear their lupus towards exploration of the Umbra, making deals with spirits, finding out enigmas. The antenna lupus isn't going to go out on the onto the street and say protest when the latest salacious charge against the black man comes out and they're found guilty, or say another case of police brutality happens with the antenna. No, they're going to go out instead into the woods and say, we heard that there's this rare burning horse spirit that lives in here, and we're going to find it. We're going to make a deal with it.
Or this, or that one wolf you say, is that werewolf has runes on their fur? What the fuck?
Is there it is. There's after all, these guys are um, the werewolf version of the Tremere in terms of spirit power.
They're
So
they're really out there trying to outdo the fucking stargazers when it comes to spirit matters.
imagine the devastation a lupus antenna can do at high levels.
Pretty much. I haven't looked at any of your antenna videos, but I imagine I always thought this was a funny idea. A Utina and a stargazer getting a debate on spirit matters. That sounds
Mhm.
interesting to me.
The antenna would run circles around the stargazer.
That's saying
The,
something.
the antenna always win. They've got nothing but dubs left and right in recent years.
Yeah, they tend to have.
Yeah. And they're going to take over the Garo Nation, kick out the Shadow Lords, kick out the Surfangs, and create the Ethno State.
Yeah, thinking about this, an Ictina werewolves would probably be the archetypical lone wolf.
Because after all, you got spirit matters to associate with. You might have a very socially stunted lupus on top of that, considering how much time you're spending in the Umbra. Where you're speaking with spirits so often you forget how to speak to your other wolf or your fellow man.
What makes this funny is there's this one trait in 20th edition.
Mhm.
If it's ever been brought out, but spirit traits. For
Yes.
some reason, the one particular spirit that your werewolf form looks like.
And
Did you to the
yeah,
point of 5 dots? People wonder, did one of your ancestors fuck a spirit?
the whole spirit heritage. You get that with the Wendigo too.
Like,
And
yeah,
yeah,
but
that's the thing. That's the thing. Immaculate Conception is the thing with werewolves.
yeah,
So,
because most werewolves don't do that.
right, because that's another way you can get an antenna lupus, just immaculate conceive.
Yeah.
Yeah. See,
Or
Edin, if you say breeder and bane together in the next sentence.
oh, fucking got
uh,
called out.
now Wendigo. Okay, you remember
Right.
everything I just said about the antenna?
Yeah.
Um, so I have a really high percentage of lupus compared to other werewolves. This is still a majority Hamid tribe, and when it comes to the wolves of northern Canada, uh, even though the Red Tones say that's their property, they will share it with the Wendigo because, after all, the Wendigo and red talons, they're murder buddies by this point. They are super close with each other. They shack up all the time. My relationship with Lieutenant has ended. Now red talons is my new brother.
Yeah, it's
Is
very much
relationship they have.
so. Is the Tina? You can't. They tend to understand what the red talents stand for, and they can't really call him the white man because I'm from Europe. I hate all humanity. Fuck off.
You ever see him in Hamid form either? We don't know if he's white. And
That's
after all,
actually funny.
when most red talents shifted to Hamid form, in first edition they said they looked like almost like Neanderthals when they shifted into Hamid form. That's why. But
because of how much they reject our humans.
Like when I ran a game for like Rage Across the internet server, and I tried running a chronicle for some of their members, and I had a guy that was playing as a red talon, and they said his Hamid form was a guy with blonde hair and blue eyes and white skin. That pissed me the fuck off when he said that.
And I'm
And this was,
Well,
and,
technically, he could have been playing as a lupus that, for most of its genealogy, came from the Scandinavian Get areas,
yeah, and like
and
if
eventually
you told
migrated
me
down.
that during character creation, I would have gone along with that.
if he
But
would have, if he would have said, I'm a red talon, but I do come from Scandinavia.
like say like, oh, your ancestors were Gallifenris, and you hate the Gallifenris, you left them to join the Red Talons.
No,
I would
more
have been fine
like
with that.
distant
Yeah.
ancestors. Just
Yeah,
just
I
get a
understand what you're
Fenris mating
saying.
with wolves repeatedly. That just becomes part of the gene pool. Your red
yeah,
talon
yeah,
comes along, mates with that wolf like 10 generations down. Therefore, that's what your Hamid form looks
yeah,
like.
yeah. But
To say this one.
oh, sorry about that. You're saying finish your thought.
No, sorry. To say this one here. What a red talon would look like in helmet form would look like how I describe him. Continue your thought while I think this through. Go on.
Well, I'm saying like the same guy that did the blonde hair, blue eyes, red talon was the same guy that told me that the Stargazer's book was racist, and how Werewolf the Apocalypse was racist for not having a Chinese werewolf
Oh God.
or an Indian werewolf.
All right.
So it's these guys that want to like fucking project like that.
Yeah, it's like, all right. To describe what a red talon will look like, because of how much they will reject humanity, even though a red talon would hate it, they could legitimately look like a functioning human. Think about this one here: this shaggy dude who looked like he's never a shaggy dude who looks like he's covered in fur, like really coarse hair,
Yeah.
piercing yellow eyes, and slightly pointed ears. He will look like the archetypical. He's a werewolf. What?
Yeah. It's the
You know
very
how people
strange
describe
like
werewolves?
feral man on the street that you don't want to approach.
Yeah, he looks like a. He looks like. Are you human, sir? He says
This
yes. Looking
this this
sideways.
this is the lore accurate Tarzan.
Yeah, that's actually pretty fair. They would look like wild men. What a red talent in a werewolf form, a common form would look like.
All right. You ready to get sexy? You ready to get sexy with this episode?
Wait,
We're about
there's
to
one
talk
more
about
tribe. There's one more tribe, the Black Spiral Dancers.
Black spirals. That's it. We're
Yeah.
getting sexy with it. All right.
No.
Edin, you may now
Nope.
tell me about the breeder banes.
Actually, no. Both of the tribe books, both the Black Spiral Dancer books, when they're mentioned, just mention like they keep their wolves either in like kennels down in their hives,
Yeah.
or like closely monitored packs.
Yeah. So imagine the concept of game bred werewolf. And
That's horrifying.
Just let that sit in the butt. Like the shit you get with like breeders, because I told you like that I went like the whole like the pit bull rabbit hole, and like some of these like fucking breeders have like their game bred mom that's like her parents were brother and sister, and then she meets with a sibling and then makes a whole bunch of inbred pit bulls,
Well,
and then she loses her fucking mind and just like kills all of them. That's kind of
well,
environment you got with the lupus.
well, more like they're so brutally oppressed that they just go along with anything that Black Spiral Dancers do. But because the Black Spiral Dancers just recruit from everywhere, the lupus theoretically aren't that inbred per se. They just are just really used all the time that they don't have time for each other.
Because usually when it comes to a lupus, they're not going out looking for wolves out in nature. They're looking to corrupt and convert someone else
Right.
when it comes to this.
And with Black Spiral Dancers, they keep their wolf kinfolk just constantly in use.
Where you might as well just be a breeding slave. Where no, master, please let me rest.
That is actually one of the. Pretty sure it's.
It's what it's
Sorry,
what
I was going to say that's the exact phrase, but I think they use breeding tool instead to
yeah
describe all their kinfolk they keep in pens.
yeah. Nobody said the Black Spiral Dancers were nice, King.
No, I'm looking at the stats for the 6 dots for the 6 rank gift for the 10. What the fuck?
Yeah, you see what I mean by compared them to the Tremere. But
No,
yeah, but
also,
yeah.
On a related note to the BSDs, it says in relation to animals, it's speculated that there's a growing corruption throughout the tribes.
Yes.
And that's why animals are afraid of Garu and just avoid them when before they used to not. The other two theories are that the Garu are getting too much to the humans, or alternatively, for the third one, that they're too much like wolves now.
And once again, it's the Black Spiral Dancers doing big brain tactics. You know, throwing herself at the Garu Nation isn't working like it used to. You gotta get more creative with this, and this is one of those ideas.
Yeah.
Yep, just pollute the gene pool.
I will state this here. Black Spiral Dancers, I am sorry you as much as you would like to, you have done work, but it's not the optimal way of working anymore. It used to work in the past, but it's not working anymore. You can't fight the Guru Nation head on.
Let's see, and is a lupus skin dancer a thing?
No, they don't have a concept of it.
No, okay, there's not. All right, moving on.
Also, later books specifically say that wolves are just inherently content where they are, even if they're kinfolk. They just know they actually have a special place, and they just cherish that so much they don't even think about turning into a Garu.
It's basically how pre-humans work. Why would I need more? I already can survive and eat. And that's animal mentality. If I can eat and I have a warm place and I can reproduce, that is enough for me.
Ryan, would you like to mention the concept of a lupus skin dancer?
Skin dancer or skin mancer?
Now the skin dancers were wannabe werewolves that would skin other werewolves alive, wear their pelts, then cast the ritual that would turn them into werewolves.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Now imagine a lupus werewolf do that to a human.
Nah.
But why?
No, that's just like more like a really morbid idea too.
They want the 10 to 5 or 9 to 5 job. They want
I want to be a real boy. Where's the blue fairy?
Always in debt.
I agree with Edin here. There's no way that could physically exist.
Yeah, that wouldn't work.
Only if it was physically forced. Sorry, you're talking about a lupus turning into a skin dancer still?
Yeah. Oh,
it would have to be forced on it. Somehow.
We could teach him to be a real boy.
Only way I could see that happening was maybe with a vampire using I don't know, some combination of animalism and dominate on the lupus to make them go through with the ritual on their end.
I'm Octavian dements it.
Well, then teach the lupus, in this case, how to go about it, because the wolf brain's like, okay, but what is knife? I know this sharp metal thing, but why is it different than that sharp metal thing? No, that's a sword.
No, I mean more like the lupus. The wolf kinfolk at this point does not do the skinning. Other people do the skinning, control the lupus into partaking in the ritual, and provide the pelts for it.
Yeah,
and the lupus just benefits from it.
Yeah,
that's the only way I see it happening.
Yes.
Yeah. There's no way that happens naturally, and that's putting naturally with air quotes.
So, would you like to do an evil campaign where you make the lupus skin dancer?
No. At that point, just play a Black Spiral campaign.
those only last 2 sessions, and then that's it.
Yeah. I'm wondering, John, I do have a question for you, my friend.
Tell me this. When
are you ever going to sit down and do another long campaign? I know you're doing Rage Across Russia, but a narrative campaign, because how do I put this here? You're good for running short campaigns.
You don't think Rage Across Russia is narrative?
Yeah, I'm not saying it's not narrative. Let me clarify myself here. I meant a long campaign where you take time with every action.
So something that's spread out across time.
Yeah, what he's talking about is when are you going to start DMing Curse of Strahd for us?
No.
Oh my God, Curse of Strahd. There will be no Curse of Strahd on this channel.
No, we have standards here.
Wait, before you say that, what if it's Curse of Strahd, but the entire party are werewolves and working for Strahd?
Yes!
The campaign would end in 1 session. Strahd von Zarevich would crumple.
No, we can't
No, because
do
you
that.
work for them.
We're a bunch of hunters in a hunter wrecking game, and we're after
Okay, that's
Strahd.
playable.
Oh.
Now, hold on. Hear me out. Hear me out. A Hunter the Reckoning game, or just a Hunter's Hunter game, but you're trying to kill the local Tribisi.
We'll make your rates instead. We'll make it more interesting for me. Make your rates.
Hey.
Yeah, but my statement with that one is: when are you ever going to do a long-term campaign? I'm not sure if you ever have, but
You mean a campaign that takes place over the course of months?
Yeah.
Yeah, in time. I'm getting to it. I'm getting to it.
All right.
Cough Fallout.
All right. I'm thinking about keeping the lights on with while Sox is writing Hunter 999. All right. Now
Yeah.
there's a whole paragraph, a whole segment here that's labeled as vampire on page 37. I want to read this verbatim. All right. You ready for this?
Go on.
All right. Lupus are often subject to infiltration by vampire possessing the protean discipline. Since the Lupus are unwilling to shift out of wolf form, vampires rarely need to worry about duplicating the various forms of Garou. Fortunately, most vampires who try such infiltrations are gangrels. For reasons the Garou do not understand, this bloodline of vampire is somewhat sympathetic to the Garou cause. They do not infiltrate a pack to gain knowledge or scheme, rather they simply enjoy coexisting with the wolves and the Garou. Often, these gangrels will join a wolf pack in wolf form, unaware that Garou are even in the pack at all. If a red talon lupus detects a gangrel in their midst, she will destroy him immediately with no question. Despite the red talon's hatred of leeches, what?
No, I'm sorry. That was something in the background. Continue.
Despite the red talon's hatred of leeches, the conflicts between the tribe and vampires are rare. Red talons are unwilling to enter cities and hunt down vampires unless they have already gotten the scent of one. By the same token, vampires are unwilling to leave the city, their city kingdoms. Thus, red talons and vampires rarely meet. When they do, it's almost always in a vampire's home territory as Garou pursues her into the city. The only exception to this is when a vampire ventures into the wilderness, usually in search of some powerful cairn or fetish. Occasionally, a vampire may leave the city stronghold to supervise some project his human pawns are involved in. These vampires almost always bring many powerful ghouls and human retainers as bodyguards. Still, once they leave the cities, they are in Garou territory. They know they are easy prey for the Garou. Their strategy is one of stealth and avoidance rather than open conflict. Where I I want to reiterate, why is this in the lupus section of the book?
I can remember a few, at least one rules as written character, like an NPC, that actually had the whole gangrel infiltration thing happen, and had his first change as a result of, as a consequence, triggered by a gangrel feeding on him. And it was a Get Fenris, and his father actually found him another lupus.
There it is. He killed the gangrel who was LARPing as a werewolf. And it first changed. Fantastic.
Yep.
I thought the implication for this was occasionally you get a lupus after a werewolf fucks a gangrel that's using protean.
That's a statement. That's a statement.
Ryan, can you imagine just how unfortunate that is? Where just you're a gangrel enjoying your time in the wolf pack, and all of a sudden like a female werewolf just approaches you with a look in her eye, and then all of a sudden,
oh god, Eddinore's probably screaming right now at the screen at what you're saying, because that would mean there's potentially a werewolf Dampier.
It probably is. It probably is.
No way.
Yeah.
See, I thought vampires couldn't have.
A female vampire cannot get pregnant. The male vampire still has a little bit of sperm in his blood cum, because that's what you shoot out when you ejaculate as a male vampire. It's blood mixed in with your sperm, and you can get a woman pregnant doing that.
I have a disturbing
that actually has to happen in a period where the vampire is actually alive. Yeah, it happens from time to time, but generally with lower gens, according to Edinor, it's like a few minutes every year. And the elder might be a few seconds every decade. Yes. And it has to happen during that time period.
Yes.
To clarify, exactly. Yes, vampires can impregnate and have kids. Dampier is only possible when you're at least 15 or 14th generation. That's the only time it's possible to make Dampier.
The blood is thinning at an alarming rate.
Well, it's been over 2,000. It's been over 2,000 years at this point.
If I'm an elder and I want to increase my generation so I can have a child, it's not possible. I can't reverse Diablo.
Well, what I was
actually,
saying with Enionor earlier is that it's actually a period you're alive. So she said technically an elder could spawn one. It's just so infinitesimally small that end times would probably happen like 20 times before it would happen.
Yes.
Yes, and most Methuselah's elders would never do it to begin with.
And I found out you were talking about before. It's the right of pure breeding. It's intelligence and primal urge roll to find out your 23andMe with the Guru.
Yeah. Basically.
Yeah. And let's see.
Except it's more advanced. It actually tells you which traits they can actually give you instead of just their ethnicity.
See, in preparation for our next episode, the totems episode, who wants to talk about a totem? I want to talk about a totem.
Grain.
Great. That's not a totem. That's a spirit.
Okay, I'll stop.
She will not date you.
But she is greatly endowed.
It ain't gonna happen. You can look, but you can't touch.
Why can't I?
You can't touch because she'll curse you when you do that. You'll throw up every time you drink alcohol.
I don't drink alcohol. Period. I don't care.
There it is. Just straight edge. Do you want now? What kind of totem would a lupus choose to follow?
Lupus?
Everest.
Everest. Would you expect a lupus to take American Dream as his totem?
No.
If they're American lupus, yes.
An American lupus. Wolves aren't patriotic. No, the wolf isn't going to go to the 4th of July celebration and catch the Roman candle and run around with it, shooting it into the crowd.
Yeah, but the wolves' basically lifestyle is the American dream: monogamous relationship with plenty of kids, well off with a house. Basically, a den, a litter, and a mate.
Yes.
To clarify here, they will probably take Old Wolf of the Woods.
Mm-hmm. Old Wolf of the Woods. There's 3. Well, with a red talent, I think the answer is obvious. It's Griffin. It's Griffin. You're always going to go with Griffin. Griffin, the Dark Messiah. You're going to go with him.
I thought you were just being in general on the point, but generally across all lupuses, they will probably take Old Wolf of the Woods, the first Guru.
Yeah. Old Wolf of the Woods, or a very nature-based spirit.
Yes.
Because there's 3 examples as to what they would take in Ways of the Wolf. Do you want me to read Glooskap, Hare, or Raven?
Who's Glooskap?
Glooskap? I'm glad you asked me because he is a Native American folklore hero.
Yeah.
See. Now, would you like to know the lore of Glooskap?
No.
See. Well, I'm telling you anyway. He is a legendary figure amongst the Wabanaki people. These being the people that would... What region of Canada is this? Nova Scotia? I think it is. But all the way up in there in Newfoundland. And he was this trickster... What?
Newfoundland, eh?
Yeah, exactly that. He's a Newfie. And Glooskap was this trickster genius. He'd go around and he'd trick people, and I think he's a totem amongst the Wendigo too, because he got reprinted in the Wendigo book. But there's one legend I looked at while we were going over the Wendigo book, and it was his fight with the moose and getting the moose to be a friend of the Wabanaki people, because the moose was going around rampaging. Glooskap comes in and turns Moose into a tree, and then Moose is saying, "Oh no, this is terrible. Can you please free me? Can you promise not to attack my people?" "Yes, I promise." And then he frees the moose, but then the moose's antlers change to reflect the tree branches. And he's involved in legends like that. So
the moose lied. The moose still attacked people.
Yeah. The moose is an asshole. It's a very valid reason in Canada to call out for work because there's a moose in your driveway. Yep.
Yeah,
I can see it.
Yeah, there's also he's also known amongst the Mi'kmaq people and the Abenaki people. So why is a human figure taken as a lupus totem? Well, given how
sometimes when a lupus wants to work with humanity, because not all lupuses wants humanity to die like the Reptilians.
And given how often Glooskap got involved in animal society, if you could call it that, then yes, the lupus would carry on the legends of Glooskap, saying, "Hey, you guys ever hear the story of the guy in the woods who turned that moose into a tree?"
No.
And then that'll get passed on between wolf to wolf. And eventually that story would reach the ears of a lupus, resonate with them. And then when they're trying to select, what do I do as a totem? What spirits do I contact? And they find out about Glooskap and they say, oh, I heard that name before. And then they go and check out what Glooskap is up to.
Yes. Let me just say this here. As a as a werewolf, here's one thing. You can be born of almost any tribe but Silverfangs and you get to leave. Maybe not with a fucking Shadow Lords, but you get to leave and you can find another tribe. That is a thing. You could be born of one tribe and work with another. That does happen.
With Silverfangs, you gotta be exiled.
Yes.
And see, so with Glooskap, what do you get from Glooskap? You gain 1 survival and 2 extra willpower points per story. You also gain a -1 to all difficulty rolls involving hunting, and there's a little bit of wisdom renown you get. This was when they're doing the 100-point system that nobody really knew how to do. So we'll just say he gives you a point of wisdom renown. All right, the ban. Glooskap requires that his children must fight, never flee, any creature of Gaia that has been altered by the worm to be larger than its original size. If a bear has been corrupted to a huge mutated beast, you must kill it. There it is. Kill the giant. Do it. You're Jack from Jack and the Beanstalk. You can do it.
Yeah.
That one with the bear is actually that girl that got possessed by a Bane when it was revived in that girl source book.
He was revived by and then got possessed by a Bane.
Yep.
Oh yeah. Here's an example. Let me think here. Here's one funny thing that I realized after looking at your internet, after being on the internet long enough, and it saddens me that I know this. If you ever, as a red talent, run out of rage, ask the Glasswalker, I'm running out of rage. Do you have something that can piss me off? Okay, so there's this site called For Affinity.
They can show you the Ryan McNutt video. Okay. I'll probably give a red ton of willpower instead. So, would you like to role play on a scene where you show your lupus tub girl for the first time?
No. My last statement is okay. So here's For Affinity. Here's the werewolf tag. Look at what they think of werewolves. I did not think it was possible to hate humanity more.
You show it off, and it'll piss them off that they're a sex icon.
Yep.
All right, we are now out of story. We've drank it all.
All right.
Let's talk about the errors in the book.
The Ertz spirits.
Errors.
Errors. Okay, all the stuff in this book that is wrong.
Wolf diet is not strictly carnivorous. During the summer, wolves will actually eat lots of blueberries and fruits, as well as some melons. So pears, apples, blueberries, as well as watermelons are the preferred food, and oftentimes consists of most of their diet during the summer months.
They also eat grass like a dog does.
Eat a lot of meat, though.
Because, if you see a dog eating it, a wolf can eat it too.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. But let's just say here, yes, they can eat fruits and vegetables, but they still need fucking meat in their diet.
Yeah. I see a picture right now of a wolf eating a watermelon.
Yep. That's a video I posted.
Yeah.
They'll also eat stuff like squashes and pumpkins at times.
Yeah.
Want to hear something wholesome?
Tell me.
Yes.
There's this thing on Australia called Neil the Seal. He's basically a seal that goes around in Australia and just literally perks on everything. That's it. He's just a seal that lives in an Australian neighborhood, and it's basically the pride and joy of the town.
Yeah, and he gets in front of people's cars. There it is.
Like, I can't come here to work today. Neil's in the way.
There it is. Why do we bring up the seal?
Another error is
adorable.
What are we talking about next?
So what's next, Edin?
Another error is that they say poisonous animals when they should say venomous.
Yes.
And they say, quote, the only poisonous spider in the United States is the black widow. That is wrong. There are at least 2 others. There's the red widow and the brown recluse spider, both of which can actually kill people.
Ryan, if I bite you and you die, am I poisonous or venomous?
That just means I'm poisonous.
I don't know what. Sorry, I was talking.
If I bite Ryan and he dies, it means I'm venomous. If Ryan bites me and he dies, then I'm poisonous.
Yeah.
The difference between the two.
Yes.
Yep.
So there it is. There is no such thing as a poisonous spider.
Well, technically, if you eat this poison gland too.
Yeah. If you eat
No, because
poison,
venom would have to be direct blood contact through an open wound or injected. So unless you had an ulcer, you would be fine.
Yeah, as long as you don't have a stomach ulcer or a mouth ulcer.
Ah, man, you can't let me have one.
Well, isn't saliva just plasma?
Oh yeah, and to add,
actually just really diluted mucus and enzymes.
It is.
Yeah. And to go back to your thing with the wolf thing here, what I was making with that statement here, so everyone understands, to own a wolf in any form, do lots of fucking research. They are not like dogs.
Yes, yeah, same thing with like pit bull ownership or like any sort of like really rowdy dog, like a Rottweiler.
Any dog, really.
Yeah.
Not specifically dog, but any animal.
Yeah. Let's see, what else is wrong in this book? Besides all the science involving wolf social structures.
Oh, please don't. Well, social structures like that would make sense for the guru because that social structure is
it's true. But as we discussed at the start of this video, no wolf in nature really does that. Wolves in captivity do when they don't know each other, and then that's it.
Yeah, because the reason why is because wolves. You know, hold on. Let's want to hear about the mega packs in Russia.
See, the mega pack of Russia.
Where they just pack up with like hundreds of wolves and then start tearing down horses.
Yes.
Yep. Because of how hunted they've gotten so far in Russia, they have learned to grow up to such an extent. They look like the European myth for how wolves used to work and why wolves were hunted in Europe.
Yeah, 400 of them in one pack.
Yeah, because one of the reasons why wolves were hated so much in Europe was because people thought this a legend of wolves forming giant little armies of themselves and hunting you all down. They know that's not real, not even remotely, but because of how limited and scarce and hunted werewolves were in Russia, they started making mega packs, and those things are scary.
One of my favorite videos. What?
Sorry, I was about to say there is no guard dog, there is no guard llama. Your animals will get ripped to shreds.
But one of my favorite videos on the internet was this Russian cop at a traffic stop getting his ticket reading interrupted by a pack of wolves. Just run out into the street and he hops into the guy's car to get away from them. And
just imagine being that dude in the car and locking your doors so the cop can't get in, so he gets in and you don't get a ticket.
There it is. Paying one out to the Red Talons.
Yeah, that's messed up.
See, anything else wrong with this book besides everything else in it? Let's see, is you want to talk about plants? I feel like that's the other thing to talk about is the plants. Okay. See,
I'm not knowledgeable enough in this area to properly call anything out as not edible that they claim is edible.
See, let's check this out.
Because it's animals, they might be able to eat it, but we can't. So,
I just got an app called Picture This.
Picture This.
If you take a picture of a plant, it'll tell you what exactly it is and what is wrong with it.
That's a good app.
You use it to take a picture of that mushroom to see if you can hallucinate off of it.
Issue is that it's pay to use.
There it is.
I will say though that if you're in North America, if something looks like a blackberry or a raspberry, it's guaranteed to be edible because they have no poisonous lookalikes.
Yes.
And anything that looks like them is actually just a related species that is also edible, like say wineberry.
So in case you're lost in the woods, you can eat that.
Oh shit! I just realized something here while looking at the Discords flashing by because I get notification within the Discords. The goldfish spirit.
The goldfish spirit.
Yes.
Tell me about the spirit.
You may think in your head. Hear me out. You may think in your head it will be a pretty pathetic spirit, but do you realize how many goldfish there are in the world?
A lot.
So many.
They also grow massively if you release them from their tank.
Yeah.
So imagine this one here. You hear the local world channels. There's a goldfish spirit going around, and you think in your head, oh, that's not that scary. You find the goldfish spirit. It's as big as a fucking truck.
Yes. And behold, you've described the plot of Werewolf the Forsaken. because the spirits is all that game has. But in Werewolf the Apocalypse, King, you can use that idea anywhere.
Yeah, I was just thinking in my head. You basically a goldfish spirit possesses a goldfish, and it's a wild. What?
If you manage to catch that fish, it'll grant you any one wish.
Yeah, because yes, Pentex, well, the Fomori have taken it over, but other spirits can possess humans and make their own versions of Fomori. That does happen.
Speaking of, in this book, there is the wolf Fomori that says that that's a thing.
Oh yeah, that's under the Black Spiral Dancers.
Yeah, because after all, a Bane spirit can just possess a wolf to the point where it becomes a mutant wolf, and now you got to deal with that.
That sounds like a pretty interesting Fomori. I should bring that with socks.
Yeah,
It specifically mentions they were actually really common during the Dark Ages and earlier, because there were more animal hosts open than humans.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring that up with socks.
You know, I think the Father Worm is missing out on a really good opportunity to screw over the Garo Nation by just forgetting that she can do that.
Yeah, it's very much so.
She doesn't. It's just there aren't as many wolves as before, and what little energy she does have, it's better spent on humans.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what do you mean? What little energy she does have? You're the spirit defilement in modern day.
Yeah, the Defiler.
Right, but you aren't a greater Celestine yet. You still have some limits, so
it's the
more
power
efficient
of
to do
God
humans.
coming in to help out.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. At the end of the day, these heads of the worms are very powerful, but they're not as powerful as the spirit of Luna. Which is to clarify, everyone here, Luna is the spirit of all the moons in the galaxy, not just the moon we have.
We're waiting for Luna to do something, but she just refuses to. She's too busy seething over the Weaver. Let's see here. Let's go over the plants. Let's talk about the plants.
Yes.
Burdock, where these are all magic plants listed. I don't know why this is the only book that has it listed, or the only book I can reliably find this. Burdock, if sanctified, the roots of this plant may be used to heal aggravated wounds. One dose will allow a medicine plus intelligence roll, difficulty 8, to heal the damage. Every 2 successes heals 1 level of aggravated damage. It's the Mother's Touch root. For something that looks like a daikon radish with like spiky purple flowers on it. Who knew? There actually are some like decent health benefits to real life burdock because it's anti-inflammatory and has antioxidant effects to it. So you want to talk about like all ye old herbal medicine? Here we go. Lodgepole pine. I actually got to pull up what this looks like. But yeah, it's a tree. It's a tree, everybody. The pitch of this tree, when properly sanctified, may be smeared on aggravated skin wounds caused by toxic substances, such as the pus that fills the tumors of a certain Fomori. 1 dose will remove 1 aggravated damage caused by that kind of wound, which is great for that one specific kind. I sure hope you have those trees growing somewhere around you. It's not like they grow in. See, where can I find this tree? North America, and that's it. It's in California, Oregon, Washington, Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, Colorado, and then British Columbia. There we go.
And that makes me realize.
You have an idea?
Oh, go on.
Playing a character that farms all these different kinds of plants.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out what tribe that would be.
Glasswalker City Farmer.
Glasswalker, maybe Bonar.
Yeah.
A bunch of these are actually can be grown domestically or actually are as domestic crops or ornamentals.
Farmer get a furnace.
There is one. There is one in retro on Vancouver Dark Alliance. Yeah. Yeah, definitely do that. How do I say this? Mullein, Mullein. Kind of looks like a little bit like what plants it like spinach. That's what it kind of looks like. So what this does, the guru may inhale the ashes of this plant when it's burned. The difficulty to resist any poisonous gases is reduced by 3 for the rest of the scene. Put it in your cigarettes and breathe it in.
Hold on, sorry for interrupting here, but this brought up a good idea. Why don't Guru seek out magical plants more often narratively. That sounds like a good thing for them.
I think they tend to do, and then that's it.
Oh.
When it'll make sense for your theory just to have an apothecary cabinet and just have all the stuff in it.
God damn it! I thought I blocked their fucking channel.
Let's see, and let's see here. Serviceberry, also known as shadbush. It is white flowers and red berries. What does this do for you? One dose of this substance will cure blindness in a guru, even if caused by gifts or worm poisons. It will not heal damage, however. If the eyes are physically injured, they must be healed first. So, behold, I don't think this can heal your metis deformity, but if you get sprayed in the eyes and you see again, then this is what you need.
Fun fact: service berries is actually one of the ornamental plants people plant around in urban areas.
Ah.
It also provides a source of food in berries that cling on into early winter, late fall for birds.
You see, this is why we called in for this episode. He's the tree meister who can tell us all this. All right. Sweet flag. Let's go into it. Which does not look like a flag at all. It just looks like grass that grows out of a wetland. It's a pond plant, as it's called. What's this do for you? What you want to do is that you want to pull out the root of this plant and then steep it in water and burn it over a low flame. You will then drink in this disgusting grass tea, and one dose of it will aid someone who has suffered from ingesting a poison, and it will reduce the difficulty of resisting that poison by 4. So take it after you've been poisoned, and it will help alleviate some of the symptoms. Probably not cure you, but it'll help you out. You want to talk about wild garlic?
No.
We're talking about this. Yeah, these white flowers. You want to call the Giovanni and get them in here?
No, we're not bringing the Giovanni.
Put this on your spaghetti. So what did you do? Now the leaves on this will normally repel insects, but when you sanctify it, it can be used to repel humans. When smeared on a guru's body, all social attributes are reduced by 2. However, when a human is around, they must make a wits and intimidation. You must make a wits and intimidation roll, and if you succeed, well, oh man, I'm reading this wrong. A human must make a wits plus intimidation roll to come within 20 feet of the treated guru. Why do they have to roll intimidation?
I think it's intelligence. Wait, is it saying intimidation?
It says intimidation.
I think that was meant for you.
Because why not?
Wouldn't it be like a willpower roll? Fuck that roll, it's willpower. And then if they fail that roll, the human just can't approach you. And they can't approach you until it's a 20-foot distance. They can't approach you from. So, could you use this to back a human into a corner and then just trap them there?
Maybe, potentially.
I can't move past this man. He smells too bad.
Unless you have a gas mask.
Yeah. See, you want to talk about social distancing? Well, that's your plant for you. All right. Foxglove, also known as digitalis. I actually like the way this looks. A
quick thing about the garlic. It's part of the allium family. If you harvest something in the allium family and it tastes bitter, you actually did not have something that's in the allium family to look like. Nothing in the allium family should have a bitter taste. It should just taste like onions or garlic normally. If it tastes off, it's a poisonous lookalike. You will die if you continue eating it.
What?
I don't want to live anymore. Let me have it.
You've been telling me I've been eating the wrong thing to Giovanni's this entire time?
Oh, shit.
Maybe.
See, Neophile their gardener. Digitalis?
Giants built up a resistance to the poison.
What does the foxglove do for you? If sanctified, this plant will protect you against fairy magic. Great. It will add
isn't foxglove monk's hood, aka wolfsbane?
Yes.
Let me double check.
Yeah.
As a changeling player, I'm insulted. How dare you have something to call us out?
There it is. You need this. You need this at all times with a Fiona. You just need to grow this with you.
How dare you? Well, I want to turn you into a puppy.
Yeah, this is so Ryan, so the changeling can't use gimmicks and then just lift your house off its foundation and throw you off into space.
Look,
I mean, that's
I
good.
want to turn you into a puppy.
Oh wait, no, they're different, but they're both poisonous.
I did have a question about the Fae.
Yeah?
Can they be sired?
Yes, Clankia seed.
It's
Gotcha.
the key seed.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
We went into tangent about how the key seed exists, and
No, it's only the little somber who do that.
no, here, I went on a tangent with this here, and I love it.
Yeah.
The key seed were basically the somber who bit a changeling before they became a changeling and became vampires, and the key seed exists. And because they wanted to be the only changeling vampires, they killed every other changeling vampires until the last one didn't choose the name key seed.
And there you go.
Yeah.
That let
To
not be
understand
said in the Slumber of Petty.
Yep, to understand that they basically killed out of every vampire that had their same name as a clan.
So the Slumber can pull it off, but the Giovanni and the Tremere can't.
Well, it's because they're a lot rarer.
Yeah. It is. You gotta catch them while they're young. Last plant we're going to talk about is rosemary. This is easy. This is easy to find. Why do you not have rosemary with you? But what this can be used for on a guru is to stimulate memory. It will subtract two difficulties to recall facts and experiences.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. You want to remember something? Just put rosemary in your food. Yeah, Bold, you got Granddad Silverfang. He doesn't have the memory he used to, and he's only 20.
Oh,
Just
boy.
put this in his oatmeal.
Yeah.
Time
To
for
clarify
me to start
one
eating
thing.
rosemary.
To clarify, because it's my job to be interrupting dickhead.
Yeah.
The Silverfangs were meant to keep the leash on the Guru Nation, but because Silverfangs had the arrogance of saying they can be in charge until the ends of the earth, the universe has bet, and now we have this mess.
Yeah. We're now at the cooking portion of today's episode. King of Greed.
I refuse to let that sit because the only problem with the Get of Fenris, I mean the Guru as a whole, is because they need someone to actually tell them to not act like a dumbass.
Well, if you want to help out your Silverfangs without telling them that you're doing it, you can make, I don't know, rosemary. I'm getting a recipe for rosemary lemon pasta, rosemary roasted potatoes.
They make rosemary bread all the time.
Rosemary chicken.
I'm sorry. Yeah. I don't see anything wrong with the Get of Fenris.
Okay, wow. I corrected myself. I said the whole Guru Nation because everyone has their own head.
Yeah, Fenris are right. They're always right.
No, the fucking Red Talons were right.
Yeah, there's the
Also,
Red Talons don't know what they're talking about.
Speaking about cooking, did you know that if you were to eat dog or wolf meat, both of them can actually tell that you've eaten it within the last, I think, half decade or decade?
They're going to look at you with those sus eyes.
Yep, because it's like some chemical that your body produces or that's in the meat that stays with you for that long that they can sense, and they just look at you like, "What the fuck's up?"
Yes. Hey, man, is someone really tell me?
Oh, here, or like this one here. You're a hunter who ate in wolf meat. I, as the Red Talon in the city, because my pack's in the city, looking in your direction. I'm gonna kill you later.
And the last thing we're going to talk about for today is the one fetish from this book that you need to remember: the tool stick, where you just get a stick, and I don't think they list. No, they didn't list what spirit this is, but you just need to roll an intelligence and craft roll, and that stick will become any one tool that you need for the rest of the scene.
That is it a talent?
No, that's a fetish.
Holy shit, that's actually pretty good.
There you go.
And then it works with talents,
Yeah.
which turn into whatever thing you need for that tool to interact with, like screws or nuts.
You can turn a walnut into a hammer with it.
Oh, you turn the walnut into a nail or a screw.
There it is.
Sounds very interesting.
Yeah. So, behold, if you want to go, if you as a lupus player are suddenly possessed to build a house, you have the tools to do it.
I like the concept.
It's one of those like goofy things in the World of Darkness that keeps everything light.
Yeah, not
I think
every
this fish
power.
water was also pretty light. You just swat the water with this stick, and the fish will just flop onto shore.
Yeah, it's like shooting fish in a barrel, as they say. And there we go. All right. I think we've educated everybody on how to lupus. Edin, you want to play a lupus now?
Maybe I still want to play some more metas.
What? All right. Well,
Yeah, I
Ryan,
just
how about
find
you?
the little metas too cute.
Yeah, I play
And then
Lupus
you,
again.
and then you will never. I will never understand your obsession with Menaces, Eden. But very well.
The menace is
Menaces
the
are
power
fun.
game. The menace, you get a risk and reward with the menace.
You
Menaces are
fucking
fun.
die to silver bullets like a bitch.
Yeah, it's a fucking server, just don't get shot.
Yeah, they have to hit you in order to do that. That's why you
Yeah,
sink
blur
all
the Nokia eye.
That's why you sink all your points into dodge and dex.
Yeah.
I just think the infant metas are so cute.
Yeah. It is.
He's
He's so pretty and he can kill you in an instant.
Every other baby's cute.
There it is. All right, well, we're going to go watch baby videos now. We got into the episode.
All right, see ya.
All right, we're going to watch babies falling over part 3.
What?
All right. That's
Well,
There's actually some videos by the Wolf Conservation Center of their Mexican wolves with wolf pup shenanigans. You should go watch them. Like the one where the pups rest on their sister's back.
all right.
All right.
There it is. All right. I think that's it for this episode. I think we're out of ideas.
Wu Dang, the pygmy hippo.
There it is.
Oh wait, just forgot to mention this. Lupus litters, wolf litters can oftentimes have multiple Garu breed true within the same litter.
Yes.
All right.
So behold, be a lupus and have more lupus kids. Quit having one kid at a time like the Hamans do.
You can have twins.
There it is. Conjoined twins.
Ew.
Yeah. Give me pictures of the conjoined twins werewolf.
Okay, that's it. All right, bye.
All right, Ryan, we can cut the recording now.
have a good night, guys.
GN.
Good night, everyone.